Welcome to the July 27th, 2021, 6:15 p.m. open session meeting of the Ayer Planning Board. Before we get started, I'd like to read the message on the top of the agenda. This hearing of the Ayer Planning Board will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. Zoom information for this meeting can be obtained by contacting Heather Hampson at hampson@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 144. This meeting will be recorded and air on Channel 8 and ayerpublicaccess.org the following day. With that, I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. First on our agenda is to approve the first general business to approve the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Seconded.
Thank you, Mr. Prince. Thank you, Ms. Murray. Any discussion?
Yes. Mr. Chair, given that we have a very full agenda, I think it would be wise to set realistic expectations of what we can accomplish tonight on each of these items so that people are, no one's bitterly disappointed.
You have recommendations?
Well, I suspect that the extension for 22 Fitchburg could be relatively quick. But I wonder how far we're going to be able to get with, and the A&R I don't know, but I don't know how far we're going to get with 60 Central Avenue and certainly with Stratton Hill, which is a major project.
Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chair, what I have lined up in my staff reports is plan acceptance and opening the hearing for both of those. So, we're not expected to make a decision on this case.
Okay.
So it's to open everything up, get the main topics identified.
Okay. So I just wanted to establish that for everyone, either in attendance or watching, that we will be opening all these, but we will not, this is just the beginning. Just the beginning.
Thank you, Mr. Krantz. Anybody else at the table have anything they'd like to say? With that, I'd actually like to add something. We would typically do this at the end of the meeting, but I think it's going to be fairly quick. I'd like to first ask if there's anybody in the room that is here for something that is not on the agenda this evening, so we can take care of that and not have them wait all evening. And the second thing, the notice of decision for Panther Place has been agreed upon and is ready to be signed. I'd like to make sure that the board, that's a moment of us to sign it. Okay? So with those two pieces, I'd like to add to the agenda, and I appreciate your concern, Mr. Krantz, and I do intend to get through the entire agenda this evening as quickly as we can.
Okay.
Thanks. So with the modification of asking if folks are here for something not on the agenda and signing of the Panther Place notice of decision at the beginning, which is a minute or two, those were the only changes I would like to make to the agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended by the chairman.
Seconded.
Thank you, Mr. Diskin and Mr. Krantz. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. So, is there anybody in the room who is here for anything that is not on the agenda this evening?
Captain Keith, come on, man.
Okay. Thanks. Second, the Panther Place notice of decision. Mark, sorry? Yeah, Mark, you got the notice of decision?
It's right on the table.
Great,
It's
thank
over
you.
there. Yep, I just wanted to preface that there's a little bit of back and forth between the applicant's representative and us to get everything squared away. But everything is squared away now as far as the conditions, both the general and the special.
Good.
Do we make a motion, Heather, to?
No.
No.
Jeff, would you speak up, please?
Yes. Oh, I already signed it. Thank you.
Yes, you did.
Did I?
Yep.
No.
I did?
No.
No.
So for the people in the room, what we're doing is a bit of housekeeping. We had a notice of decision for another project in town. And we had to work out the language legally. That got worked out between last meeting and this meeting. So all we're doing is finalizing the project so the proponent of the project can move forward. And I appreciate your indulgence.
Just the decision. That's, yeah, the A&R hasn't even done yet.
Just a piece of paper. It's okay.
It's okay, it looks nice, John. It is.
We all set?
I'll make them about the meeting, so he doesn't have to sign it.
Next on the agenda is a request for extension of the site plan, Ayer 22 LLC, 22 Fitchburg Road. Is there anybody here on behalf of the proponent?
Hi, my name is Mika Lasala. I'm from S.J. Mullane Engineering, and I'm here on behalf of 22 Fitchburg Road LLC. Property owner is here as well. Back in 2017, we had done a site plan for an expansion to the property where the old Victory Hannaford's, what's the name of the
Shopping center.
Shopping center. We had gone for an approval to do an addition to that building, place a freestanding building, and then also do a third building with a drive-through. Those permits expired in 2019, and we requested an extension. That extension was granted, and that extension expires this summer. And with COVID and shutdowns, with everything, the building industry for commercial real estate was at kind of a standstill. So we've kind of held off on moving forward, actually breaking ground and moving forward. The applicant is, the owner is looking to get going first with the drive-through portion and then eventually the freestanding building side. Since that time, we've also looked at modifying the approval to, instead of doing an addition, convert that into just another freestanding building of reduced size, likewise reduce the size of the proposed freestanding building from 6,800 down to 4,500. And this would also be 4,500, all within the element, within the confines of what was previously approved from impervious and grading. So what we're looking for is an extension, and we'd be coming to you for a modification depicting this as a courtesy. The utility connections are essentially the same. There's an existing sewer easement that cuts the property. Previously, the approved building was slightly within the easement. Now we position the building outside the easement. And likewise, this building is lined up and away from that easement. And we'd be able to connect the utilities in that easement, and water along Fitchburg Road. Gas is also located along Fitchburg Road. So we'll be tapping into those utilities as well.
Okay, so if I may?
Yes.
So what we're asking for is an extension?
Correct.
To keep the original one alive?
Keep the original one alive.
And I think the board would need to spend some time actually looking at what the modifications would be.
Yep.
So, at this point, I think a motion to extend
Yeah, I'd like to
is the
make,
way to go, and then at some point in time in the near future, we'll sit down with you, we get the plans, we get the chance to take a look at it.
And we are also for the ZBA,
Yeah.
the same extension for the drive-through, because that's a special permit.
I'm sorry, you need an extension from the ZBA for the special drive-through, but that's outside of our purview.
Correct.
Got it, thank you very much.
I'd like to make a motion
Thank you.
to extend the site plan for Ayer 22 LLC, 22 Fitchburg Road through August 3rd, 2023.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
That's that's unanimous, thank you. I need to put into the record that Mr. King, thank you very much, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Mr. King will be unable to join us this evening. He let me know earlier this evening that he's not able to make it tonight. Okay, thank you very much. So that's the extension for site plan Ayer 22 LLC. And I want to thank the proponent for working with us on that. A&R for 38 Washington Street, Richard Simpson.
My name is Kevin Conover. I'm from David Ross Associates, and I represent Mr. Simpson. He's dividing a piece of property on the westerly side of Washington Street. It's a two-lot A&R. I believe you all have seen copies of that two-lot A&R. It's a little special because we went to Zoning Board of Appeals last November and received a variance for an area. One of the lots is substandard in the area, but the variance was approved by the Board of Appeals. It was recorded at the Registry of Deeds, and we're referencing that variance on the plan itself. So it's a 2-lot A&R, one lot has an existing house, and the other is vacant at the time.
Is that the blue house? Is it the one that's going to be? Thank you. It's with the fence in front.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
So again, we have a Board of Appeals decision last November that was approved for a variance for an area. Both lots have the required frontage, but lot 2 does not have the required area.
In order to get the required frontage, that's why the lot line runs diagonally.
Exactly.
One,
Thank you.
plus two, and what's the, and the easement's doing what here?
It's different.
The easement is for a driveway. The driveway, the lot line as it's configured, the existing driveway is over onto lot number 2. So we encompass it in an easement to give lot 1 the rights to cross over lot 2 with their driveway.
And that's been recorded and run with the land.
It will be.
Yes.
When the
Excuse me,
plan-
I'm sorry, yes, thank
It
you.
will be, yes. Since it's shown on the plan, once the plan is recorded, the easement is also recorded.
Any questions from other members of the board?
I just have a quick note, just FYI, I think we all reviewed the notes on the plan, and we find the notes to be inclusive of what we want in our plan, so I think that's good. And just repeat for one more time, Kevin, for me, the only exception that you went to the zoning board of appeals for was an area
Correct.
for size.
Correct.
All the rest of the lot is compliant, basically, in the way we
Correct.
see it.
And then dimensional in terms of zoning offsets, that's through the building department, but any construction on that will have to conform to the zoning in that zoning district.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
No, it looks pretty straightforward.
Okay. If no further comments from the board, accept the motion, accepting it out?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion, we accept the A and R for 38 Washington Street, Mr. Richard Simpson. Endorse, I'm sorry.
Endorse, thank you.
Endorse the A and R for 38 Washington.
Oh, you're here.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passed unanimously.
That's all right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kevin.
It'd
Thank
be
you.
easier.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, should we go sign it now?
Is it here to be signed?
Oh, yeah, so it doesn't get lost in the.
No, thank you.
Pens and Mylar paper.
There's, I think 2 paper, 1 Mylar. There's all the pens over there you need.
Yes.
Marker on the.
46.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you guys are neighbors. Yes.
Nice and neat.
Yeah.
Thank you. Somebody please take them.
Hi.
That way you can just take the Mylar with you
Yeah,
if you
take
want.
some mileage.
Yeah, that way it can't come back.
Julie changed.
There's a Mylar for the sign.
You can wait for the
Oh, you
Mylar.
signed it, you signed it.
Send it
I left you
on.
with space.
Thank you very much. Thank you for doing the work. You guys did all the work.
You only have one neighbor.
What's that?
You only have one neighbor.
This is today's sign-in sheet.
Yes, it is.
I'll ask people in
Sign
the
will, go ahead and get.
audience, if you haven't signed in yet, please take a moment to sign in. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, just pass it amongst yourselves. Don't remind you throughout the evening. Thank you. You guys can sit down here. Yeah, for a second.
You guys have a great evening. Thank you very much.
Take care.
See you around.
Yeah, take care.
I'm making so sure approved it all.
Next on the agenda. Site plan review for 60 Central Ave, Metro West Company, Foresight Engineering. Are there proponents in the room? Yes, sir. Thank you. Do you want to say anything about this, Mark?
I think this one can go.
Okay, thank you.
He has a draft of the other card, which I'll also put up.
We need a
Speaking to
we need a
that,
motion to accept.
I think so.
Yes, once we could do that after his presentation.
Okay. That was not on.
That's for the,
That's okay.
that's for the remote signals.
So I'm going to apologize to you all. I can't see while I'm sitting there because that one's not on. So you're going to get my back for a while.
Good.
Yeah, they all heard that. Please go ahead.
Thank you. My name's Scott Hayes. I'm with Foresight Engineering. We prepared a site plan for 60 Central Ave. It's an existing dwelling on this property that's utilized for multifamily right now. It's in a pretty bad state of repair. It's proposed to be demolished and be converted into 4 condominium units. So it's in the mixed-use transitional zone, which would allow, by the area of the lot, to have up to 5 units here. But due to the grade of the site and the narrow width of it, and the ability to access the rear of the lot, they proposed 4 units, so the below the density is allowed by the zoning district. Each unit is about 17 feet wide by 49 feet long. They're about 1,600 square feet per unit, not terribly large. And there's a single wide bay garage that accesses each unit on the basement level. There's 2 stacked garage parking spaces proposed, and 1 surface space in front of each unit with the main entry on the basement level.
Thank you, Mark.
In these areas here. So the site itself has a pretty good grade from Central Ave, which is sort of a plateaued area where the existing house is. And then the grade begins to climb pretty steeply towards the rear of the lot. So due to the narrow width and the steep grade to the back, we really tried to concentrate the construction in the more buildable area of the lot where the grade's already been altered and try to minimize the amount of cutting that needs to be done to create a proper build site here. And the result is really a building that's in the same general location as the existing dwelling, slightly larger, with some grading on about 13,000, 14,000 square feet of the lot, total site disturbance. With the rear 10 or 12,000 square feet remaining undisturbed, wooded, naturally sloped. And, so the driveway comes in, it comes up a bit, it plateaus in this front parking area, accesses the bottom level, the basement level of the building. The rear of the building is actually a walkout to grade in the back because the grade is going to be climbing as you go to the rear of the lot. So these patios walk out on the first floor to grade, which patios proposed across the back, a small grade space, and then just enough room to grade that slope back safely so that it doesn't create a drainage problem or a hazard otherwise, but things don't work out. Drainage-wise, the site, we're not altering the characteristics of the site tremendously other than cutting a bit of soil to create a pad site here, but impervious cover-wise, we're increasing the impervious cover by about 1,200 square feet from what exists currently, so not a tremendous change in cover, and the grade itself of the site will actually be less once we grade it down to a pad site. So the issue here is cutting into the grade 4 to 6 feet, about 2 to 3 feet in about this location, about 4 feet at the rear of the building, and then the very worst spot where the slope breaks to climb the hill, it's about a 6-foot cut at the rear of the building. But right now, there's no drainage mitigation whatsoever. We're proposing to collect all the roof runoff, all the driveway runoff, bring it down to a subsurface infiltration bed, manage it on site, and control the release of the storm drain in Central Ave. And I didn't really talk much about Central Ave. We've got the site abuts a single family at 62 and a 2-family at 58. Central
family.
58 is a single family.
It's
I got it.
Excuse me, please.
Yeah, hold on.
He's making a presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We got a lot to do tonight.
I'm not put those
We're gonna run it
back
that
and
way.
forth. But I believe there's a two-family or a single family with an accessory apartment. But residential uses on either side. Across the street is Transportation Services Company in the something Valley Transportation. Across the street, it's a big industrial use, which is also allowed in the mixed-use transitional zone. And so Central Ave, I'm sure we're familiar with, it's a wide street, it's got a gentle grade. There's a sidewalk on our side of the property, immediately adjacent to the street. We're proposing to maintain that, and just bring access driveway and create enough room for maneuverability for parking lot, and really collect, infiltrate, contain the stormwater we can. Due to the narrow nature of the lot, we've also proposed some landscape screening on the sides, some evergreen type plantings along the lot line. Not a tremendous amount of room to screen because of the narrow width of the lot. The building's 16 feet off the lot line, it's a 15-foot setback. So try to find something kind of columnar that provides a good screen. In areas where we're exceeding the cut, we've got concrete block or stone retaining walls that are about 4 feet in height on either side. I think at their highest point, they hit 6 feet, but generally they're 4 feet on average or less than the existing grade on either side. Here, and here. And that's really just to create a proper pad site and got the limited area to grade out with a narrow lot width. We prefer not to use rat walls, but due to the characteristics of the site, we really can't avoid it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
can
please.
you speak a little louder?
Certainly, I'm sorry, sir.
It might help if you actually face the board while yeah.
Maybe go on the other spot,
Yeah.
hopefully it'll be blocking the people now, so I guess
Okay.
we're stuck with what we have.
Okay.
So gone over the building location, matching the existing, more or less, parking in front of the building, cutting the grade down to create a moderate slope to access Central Street. Right now, it's a pretty good hump there to get up to where the parking area is. So we're going to shave that grade down a couple of feet in front of the building to try to create a level plateau in front of the garage doors. And then make a more reasonable grade stopping, once you get to Central Ave is very flat and very great sight lines in both directions. So covered the building, parking, drainage, the screening. I think that's really the gist of what we're proposing. This is site plan review, and we did get comments from DPW.
Thank you.
And we're comfortable addressing those. They did bring to our attention Article 47, which meet the last criteria there. We're not disturbing enough area to meet the threshold, but we are cutting greater than 4 feet of fill, or cutting the site down greater than 4 feet. So that triggers the Article 47 stormwater permit. But it's a minor permit, not a major permit.
Yes, no, thank you very much. We're working on upgrading our NIPD's permitting also, so that's actually something we're aware of these days. So thank you very much for taking care of that. Mr. Mansfield?
Do you anticipate, do you anticipate any blasting for this project?
Well, the soils are really calls for Charlton Hall's rock outcrop, which is a sandy soil overlaying bedrock, and the depth of the soil is randomly, undulating. I suspect as we get closer to Central Ave, we're going to have deeper soil as you climb deeper up the hill. I would expect there's a higher probability of encountering bedrock. And looking at the abutting properties, looks like the neighbor on this side has done some earthworks and cutting in their backyard to level it out. And I didn't see any exposed rock there, so I found that encouraging. We haven't done subsurface investigation on this.
We hope for it.
Jeff?
Yes.
We have,
I have other questions from the board.
Yeah,
Mr. Mansfield?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
just to clarify, since these are going to be independently owned condominiums, not a multi-unit. So trash will just be the same trash as, taken.
Yeah, it'll be rolling containers, and I talked to the applicant, Metro West, earlier this week about that, and we thought it may make sense to make a little paved apron on the backside of the sidewalk to store 4 containers.
Okay.
But there'll be roll-out containers from the garages that get rolled out and rolled back in.
Okay.
There's been some concern about people blocking the sidewalk, those kinds of things. So with an 18-foot wide driveway, you could really stack them up along the edge and still access the site easily. So,
But there's no dumpster on site?
no dumpster proposed.
Thank you.
Is that other questions from the board? Mr. Gibson?
Okay, so you mentioned that you hadn't done any soil borings on the site. I definitely would not be signing up for this project without seeing borings and some deep hole testing in the area of the foundations and also, of course, in the area of the cul-de-sac subsurface drainage system. I don't even know how you could design that system without having subsurface evaluation for the drainage system. So I'm not sure if DPW mentioned that in their report. I saw it, but I glanced at it quickly, unfortunately. So
Right, yeah, the last comment on the stormwater comments, number 5, provide tested infiltration test data for infiltration system location.
okay, so
Yeah.
We haven't done those stormwater analysis. We've been
right. So at this point in time, you concur with the statement that you will do testing, deep hole testing of borings, take your choice, in the area of the foundations and in the area of the stormwater retention system,
to determine the extent of blasting.
to determine the extent of what you think the design should be to compensate for any issues that could be forthcoming.
Right. Well, I mean, I even if we have a bedrock issue in the infiltration area, that can be designed to be a detention area because we're substantially altering the impervious cover on the site, so we could utilize it as detention without it.
Okay, so basically right now you're showing us a proposed system.
Right.
But after you do the qualified testing, you'll have the results.
Well, it won't change. I mean, well, the calculations will support. I mean, the size of it may
Right.
have to slightly alter. But
Okay.
The general intent of the design is, really collect all the roof runoff, which is a substantial area, and all of the impervious paving, and direct it to on-site detention, recharge.
Can you,
Recharge if possible.
I'm not sure if it shows enough detail there to elaborate on, I think it's about 8-foot slope in the back, that climbs up, shown by those vertical lines. What is the surface condition of, what do you propose to do with this surface?
Right now, there's a large boulder. Again, I don't know if it's bedrock. It looks like it has form. It doesn't have a jagged, shaly look to it, like as if it was bedrock. I think it may just be a big boulder, maybe bedrock. This slope is kind of altered to about the base of it, and then eventually it conforms to a more natural grade in the upper third of it. So this will be graded back at 3-to-1, horizontal and vertical, at 20 feet away from the building, 10 feet of that.
What was the surface covered? What are you going to put on the
The
surface?
surface cover is just be loam and seeded or landscaped with shrubs, that kind of
I think we need a little more detail on how that's going to go because I'm concerned with runoff there.
So all this runs directly toward the building. This site is graded to swirl around both sides of the building, also to eliminate the roof runoff from creating. Because in the back here, this slopes back from the rear of the building to the toe of the slope at about 20 feet off, and then it slopes up
Okay.
dramatically. So this all drains away on both sides. It's picked up at catch basins at the front of the building.
Okay, I'm just asking you to give me a narrative on what the surface will be looking like during construction and subsequent to during the finished construction, so I can feel comfortable that whatever you put there will not wash out or create any kind of drainage problem around the back of those units. So if you could
I
elaborate.
think,
on that.
there's opportunity there to landscape that, because the rear elevation of the building is going to be looking directly at that slope.
Right.
And to make it monolithic.
Well, I'd rather not take it as an opportunity, but I'd rather see it delineated on the plan as to what your intent is. That's my question. Thank you. You talked about the grade from the street going up a bit, something like that.
Mhm.
Can you talk about the percentage of that grade and what it would look like if the car would have come off the central, go up that grade? Would it bottom out? Would it have went through?
No,
Something like that?
it would not. I've given a lot of thought to this. So the existing grade is at about 250 across where the sidewalk is, and we're able to get up to 252 across the parking lot.
Okay.
So what you see out there now, I don't know if you've seen the site, but there's a pretty good hump, to get up the hill. It's going to be about 2 feet lower, and tapered in at a constant grade. It's concerned about that. It's really hard to find that sweet spot of not having too much grade coming up there. I think I'm at about, coming in this way to this garage door, the maximum grade there is 5 or 6%, which really isn't too terribly bad.
So the way you see it is they're gonna park one car inside the building and one car in front of the
Two,
garage?
they've got
Or
two.
potential two inside?
Yeah, they've got two stacked,
Okay, thank you.
with one single bay.
Could you drop this down so I can see the street?
What's more, looking trash?
Front, back, side, not side to side.
Yes,
Okay.
so,
Okay.
1, 2, and then a car space in front.
One more question, Mr. Chairman.
Please do, Mr. Diskin.
So typically, the post office looks for like a mailbox location for, the specified system that they use for mailboxes. Could you indicate and put that on the plan in the future where you intend to put that?
Yeah, I expect it would be here, we need to sort out if we're going to have an independent trash kind of cutout on the edge, on the rounding here at the back of the sidewalk, and a mailbox kiosk. I didn't show it on the plan because it's subject to approval of the postal service.
But the only reason I'm saying that is if you put it on the plan, then we know you're gonna accommodate it.
Well,
and
I
then
expect that
let
they'll
them
want to get
approve it.
mail. So, yeah, we can add that to the plan, but I think subject to postal.
I would ask you to talk to the post office about that. They've actually been very,
Show
very
them the
responsive
plan.
and very helpful, and it gets shown on the plan. Look at the DPW I'm sorry, Mr. Diskin, you
I
finished
got it,
now?
thank you.
I have a couple quick things to ask. Possibly, you don't have to answer them now. I've got to imagine 2 cars internally, 1 car stacked is great, but how do you handle visitors? Will there be any accommodation for visitor parking
Well, we have 2 spaces per unit,
inside?
per dwelling unit inside, and 1 service
One
space.
outside.
So we've got 3 spaces per dwelling unit.
Okay, so there's not going to be any.
Well, I would say there's 1 visitor space per unit.
Okay, thank you. Mailbox kiosk you spoke about, snow storage.
Yeah.
I think that was mentioned in the DPW comments. I can't find it right now. But we'd like to see the addressing of snow storage on the property.
Amen.
And if that's not possible, the association may have to think about certain cases where in an O&M, where snow removal may have to take place. I hate saying those words, but it might have to
Well,
happen.
I didn't mention, which I wish I had.
Yeah, please go.
Indulge me a moment. Along the frontage here, so the slope from the back of the sidewalk is being smoothed out to a much more reasonable grade. We're only elevating about 2 to 3 feet, 2.5 feet above the sidewalk grade. So this area will be a slope, and it's about 20 feet here that will be able to create a green space in the back of the sidewalk. And that's proposed to be landscaped a little further buffer the site. I mean, I think it benefits the residents of the development and what they're looking at across the street is a giant parking lot and an industrial building to try to create an attractive green space there.
Well, if you think about it,
And that was what I was going to add was snow storage. There's quite a bit of room there for snow storage.
so if we're going to do something that I'll be looking at the building across the street, I'm going to imagine that as our trees, some sort, tall shrubs and trees. If they're put along the edge of the parking area, how do you get the snow there? You don't have to answer that now. Okay?
20 feet's a good distance.
Just make sure. Mr. Krantz, we have received a letter. As the clerk, can I ask you to read this, please?
Of course.
Thank you.
This is regarding the 60 Central Avenue site plan. I have concerns of the evergreen shrubs along the line with 58 Central Avenue. Near the road, these will combine with the existing telephone pole to interfere with visibility of traffic when exiting from 58th and Central Avenue. Vegetation growth and snow pile in this area does limit ability to see traffic if not kept clear. For line screening, these shrubs or a fence should be located up next to buildings similar to shrubs along 62 Central Avenue. Thank you, Norman Buck, 58 Central Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Krantz. So we did receive that letter from the abutter. I wanted to make sure it was in the record. Do you have a copy of this letter?
No.
Okay, we'll make sure that you get it, actually.
Okay.
If it's okay with you. We'll hand you one now, and
Okay.
we'll make sure that you got that. Mr. Buck, are you in the room? Thank you very much for being patient, sir. Would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, what's the retaining walls? What sort of drop from the wall onto the property? You mentioned heights of 4 and 6 feet.
Yeah, so the taper to existing grade at the ends, but at the deepest cut would be in this area, the left rear and the right rear where the slope breaks. And it gets to about 6 feet in height.
This property is lower or higher?
It'll be lower, it'll be cut.
So you've
It'll
got
be
to,
lower.
coming from my property, you're gonna have to
Right.
drive up.
Yes.
Is there anything to prevent?
Excuse me, Mr. Buck, I'm sorry. When we get above a certain height, the building department requires fencing and other security measures to be taken. I don't expect them to be on this plan just yet, but but by building code and for safety reasons, that will have to be in place.
That's
Okay.
And I will tell you, you're gonna hit rock. You're gonna hit bedrock, given what my property is and what I've seen of that property.
Thank
You've
you.
got that big property and you have bedrocks up in the current basement.
Yeah, Thank
So
you.
yeah, you will hit rock, and I have concerns about hammering and stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Buck.
Just a quick one.
Yeah, Mr. Krantz, you,
Yeah, I just wanted to reassure Mr. Buck that, in fact, your concern about the fence was addressed in the DPW's letter to
Okay.
the applicant as well.
Yeah.
this, sometimes it seems like the words don't get back and forth really quickly, so we make sure that that happens. I'll speak for myself, not for the board. What happened at the other property on Central Ave hopefully will not happen here. We had a situation where the proponent stopped working, was unable to continue, and it got picked up again, and that was a burden upon the neighborhood, burden upon that part of town. We would hope that that would not happen here. With
I've
that said-
got concerns about the hammering and the blasting,
Yeah.
and this time it's much closer. And
It's my understanding of blasting, if I can just touch on that,
Yeah.
and I would imagine it would be required, is the company would have to come in, inspect the properties, take pictures, do inspections, blasting happens, then we take a look at what happened to the properties. I imagine that's exactly what the blasting company will do.
with the bedrock hammering and shaking my house also, and that's a concern I have. This one's
sorry.
much closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Diskin.
Just one more thing, sir. Do you anticipate the need for a guardrail between the parking area and the green space that you indicated there?
No.
In the event that people, I see how your plan is, it looks like people are gonna back out to that section and then turn and go out. If they're backing out, there's a chance it could go too far. That's what I want you to look at.
Yeah, so we've got curbing proposed around the parking lot, so
Okay.
it's good wheel stop. And this shoulder is, I mean, it slopes downward, but it got a gentle grade to it to the back, on the back of the sidewalk. It's not like you see there now, that hump that's out there and smoothed out and graded back.
And there's no site lighting shown on the print. You anticipate lighting the area from the building.
We do.
I think they showed some lighting in one of the drawings.
I think I did a detail for it, because the site plan was getting so busy, maybe on sheet 2. Basically just have egress sconces, one at each garage, one at each entry door and exit door.
And we know we have a requirement in our regulations for those fixtures, so you need to check the requirements for the fixtures that are compliant. So the screen, no light showing, cutoffs, whatever, so be very careful with that.
Sure.
It shows, it's not the plan at all. I didn't see it.
I didn't see
I'm
that.
not seeing it.
Okay, so if you could indicate on the next,
No, I
when you come back, fixture type and how it,
You know, what you intended to do, what you did, I thought I had to have that. I may not have.
it was on the building drawings.
Okay, yeah, it is, to the right of the site plan on sheet 1, exterior lighting, egress schematic.
Yeah.
It's just showing the locations where the egress doors are. And
Right.
so there's one at the garage door, one at the egress door in the front, and one at the egress in the rear.
Yeah.
So I'm just concerned.
But I didn't make specifications. with
Yeah,
that.
so
Oh,
I like the fact you showed it, but give us the detail of the fixture
Sure.
when you come back. So we know that it complies and it doesn't affect the neighbors.
Any further comments from you?
Um,
Mark, you want to-
Yes, I did a checklist of the plan, and, despite the DPW calling out further items that they would like to see, especially in regards to the stormwater permit application and the data on the test pits, et cetera, that we just discussed, the plan is ready for acceptance for consideration. So I recommend that the planning board make a motion.
Excuse me?
To do that, to accept
Question.
the plan and get it going for the public meeting. And then I also recommend, I would like to ask the applicant's representative, when do you plan to meet again with the DPW to work out these details? Would you like to submit a revised plan to the planning board addressing these comments before we continue the case?
Well, so being a minor stormwater permit is liable to be approved through the planner
Right,
and
yes.
DPW,
Right.
which I'm confident we can address that in that fashion. I did speak to, I can't remember the gentleman's name at DPW, he's got a mouth.
Wetzel?
No, the other
Dan.
one.
Dan.
Dan.
Van Skelquick.
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me.
Van
Okay,
Skelquick,
Dan.
yes.
So I spoke to him the other day to just kind of go over some of the stormwater stuff. Again, until we do test pits out here and I start fine tuning the stormwater design, I'm confident it can be addressed without substantial change to the site plan, so I think I can work with DPW on that.
And Dan did the work on the property up the street, so he's very familiar with that area. And that's Dan's forte, stormwater.
Yeah.
So-
Mine too.
Good. I think we had a question from the audience.
Yes.
May I ask who you want to identify yourself and ask your
Yes,
question?
my name is Kathleen Hebb. I'm owner of the Neshoba Valley Express across the street.
Welcome.
And I have concerns about this. The number one being the blasting and all of that we had to endure down the street, but for months, affecting the integrity of my building. Runoff from the property coming across the street and impacting the parking lot area where heavy equipment is coming and going, particularly during the wintertime. Those are primarily my two concerns.
Thank you. Yeah.
Parking, also parking. If visitors are there, and particularly in the winter, they don't want to go up the hill because it's icy, there's not enough room, they help themselves to the parking lot, and again, I have liability issues with heavy equipment coming and going, and I'm also concerned about being pressured to or suggested to impact my operating hours, which will be like whenever we go out in the morning to whenever we get back at night. So those are my concerns.
Thank you. And if I may, to clarify the parking issues, you don't want to see people parking on your property,
No,
just to make sure that's what you're asking for. Thank you.
that's what I'm asking for. In the past, when people have visited other places across the street,
Yep.
particularly in the winter, they just park there. And then we have to go find who they are, who they're visiting, and all of those things. And it also impacts clearing the snow in the wintertime.
Yes,
So,
thank you. Other comments from anybody? Yes?
Also, Stephanie Kathleen Stoddard, just construction vehicles during the process. It's an active trucking company, trucks come and go all during the day. And if construction vehicles can't fit on the proposed lot during the construction, they're gonna see if they go to the parking lot and assume that they can park there. So just wanted to also get that on record.
Thank you. So don't use the space across the street during construction for parking the vehicles.
Well, for the same reason.
Yeah.
You know, we have trucks coming and going, and we don't want to have to go hunt people down to move their equipment when the vehicles for our own operation are needing that space.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes?
Mr. Chair, Pauline Conley, Cambridge Street. 2 points. With respect to the potential for blasting, when 48 Central and the house on Cambridge were built prior to 48 Central, jackhammering and the blasting would start at 7 in the morning, and it would go until 5 p.m. Now, it doesn't affect me, because I don't have to get up that early, but it would be nice if the window could be narrowed, especially for blasting, if any needs to be done, and jackhammering, which is a given in that location. I know that's a preliminary plan, but there are lots of things to consider. The other matter I wanted to address with this particular property is sidewalk access during construction. 48 Central was problematic, just being able to cross the construction site. And as you gentlemen and ladies will remember, there was no construction fence up there for a year, more than a year, and it created a hazard at best. So those are a couple of points. I'm sure I'll have more later when I see more details. The other question I do have for you, where are all these papers on your website? I could not find them today.
I'm sorry?
Where are all these plans and papers and documents that you all are reviewing? Where are they on your website? I did not find them today.
Okay.
Stratton Hill is.
I'm sorry?
Stratton Hill is.
Oh, yes. So these are not on the website.
Well, you're reviewing documents at public meetings, not hearing, public meeting. All of these documents are available to the public.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So
there
if
they
you
are.
could at least make them available on your website, that'd be great.
Thank you.
They are available at the planner's office. You know they're available at the planner's office for anybody.
I'm sorry?
You know they're available at the town planner's office for anybody. They didn't-
No, I did not know
In the
that.
clerk's
Okay,
office.
well that, yeah,
So I
that's.
can ask Mark for them tomorrow?
So-
The normal sequence is that everything that comes to us is that it starts at the planner's office, it's there first,
Okay.
then it's distributed to us after that.
Well, thank you
So
very
we're
much.
just set for you.
Appreciate it. So I
Thank
can
you.
contact Mark tomorrow for all the documents I see you reviewing?
Yes?
Please call the planner's office and make a request, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about that quickly. We're looking at making everything available on the website. It's a funny little labyrinth of rules we have to follow. So anything that's on the website isn't official. You have to go to the office and make that request. Same thing with bylaws, same thing with the laws, like with everything else municipal. But we are trying to move forward in that direction.
Fine.
And the town has plans over time to bring every aspect of building and zoning into a system that is readily available. Make our lives a lot easier too.
I'm sure.
Thank you. And regarding the hours of operation, I'm sure they'll be in compliance with the town bylaw, noise bylaws. Thank you. Other questions or comments? Hearing none, I think we have them. Go
The
ahead.
planning board needs to make a motion to accept.
Hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to accept the plan.
Can we clarify that acceptance of the plan does not mean approval, just for everyone?
Correct, yeah,
Yes.
that just means it gets the process going for the public meeting or public hearing.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the site plan for review for 60 Central Avenue, Metro West Company 47 Engineering.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much, sir.
Will we get an agenda time at a later time, so you've addressed procedurally?
The next meeting is August 10th. If you feel you're prepared to come back to us, we can put you on that agenda. The subsequent meeting after that is August 24th.
It's every 2 weeks, basically. And we have a 5-week month, it jumps around a little bit. It's usually the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, or the second and last, whatever it works out to be. I would request, we get our documents Thursday afternoon before a Tuesday meeting. So having them here the Tuesday of the meeting doesn't help. Getting them to us the Wednesday before, Thursday before, is very, very helpful. I would make that request, yes.
May I ask about a site visit? Is that something?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, that, I
Schedule
wrote down
something?
site visit in the red line.
I'm sure you guys will work that.
Thank you.
Nobody ever remembers that. I know.
So the next thing we would like to do is schedule a site visit to the property.
Okay.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna ask Mark to reach out and figure that out.
Yes.
Okay.
Instead of figuring out the schedules or what now, why don't we do that?
I believe I have your contact information, so.
You can just contact me and I can.
Yeah. this card, but yeah, you sent me the email, so, yeah, so I'll contact you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next on our agenda.
That's his card.
Oh, thank you.
It's in the file.
Yep.
Next on the agenda, the public hearings, the definitive subdivision, Wright Road, Stratton Hill. Public hearing for stormwater management permit for Wright Road, Stratton Hill. And a site plan review for the Ayer zoning bylaw, section 9.6, land clearing and grading, Wright Road, Stratton Hill. I'm going to ask Mr. Krantz to make a motion. To read this first? Yes. Read the notice and make a motion. And then we're going to take a minute and have a couple comments on how we're planning on proceeding.
I'd like to read the public hearing notice for the definitive subdivision plan, site plan, and stormwater management permit for the open space residential development at Wright Road, known as Stratton Hill. The Town of Ayer Planning Board will conduct a public hearing at 6:15 p.m. on Tuesday, July 27, 2021, to consider the application for a definitive subdivision pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 11, and Air Zoning Bylaw, Section 10.1, Open Space Residential Development, known as Stratton Hill, located on Wright Road, pursuant to the Subdivision Control Law, Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 81K through 81GG, and Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 11, and Section 10.1, Open Space Residential Development of the Air Zoning Bylaw. The definitive subdivision open space residential development plan shows 39 proposed single-family homes off an approximately 4,200-foot-long subdivision road in a 40-acre development envelope on a total tract of approximately 200 acres. The project will include 154 more or less acres of open space with deeded public access. Site plan review under Air Zoning Bylaw, Section 9.6, land clearing and grading, and a public hearing for a major stormwater management permit have also been submitted as part of the project and will be heard concurrently with the subdivision public hearing. Property location, Wright Road, Assessors Map 6, parcels 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, and 11 through 55. Applicant, Fox Meadow Realty Company, Molten Construction Corporation. Application and plans can be viewed at the Planning Board and Town Clerk's office during normal business hours, or can either be mailed or emailed by contacting the Planning Board office at 978-772-8220, extension 144, or hampson@air.ma.us. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed plan should appear at the time and place designated or provide written comment by July 20th, 2021 to the Air Planning Office, signed, Air Planning Board.
Thank you, Mr. Krantz.
Heather, 3 motions, 3 separate ones?
Yes,
Okay.
to open, yes.
I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing for the definitive subdivision, Wright Road, Stratton Hill.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously.
I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing for the stormwater management permit, Wright Road, Stratton Hill.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Moved unanimously.
And I move that we open the site plan review, Air Zoning Bylaw, Section 9.6, land clearing and grading, Wright Road, Stratton Hill.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. In order that we can get through this in an organized fashion, there are a lot of people who have a lot of interest in this project. I've asked Mark to put together a quick process. And many of you know me as being a nice guy and a get-along kind of guy. In order to get through this, I might use my hockey coach voice, which can be heard anywhere in the rink. Okay? Thank you, Mark. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just, for this evening, the process that we have put together is that the applicant and representatives would give a presentation first to introduce the subdivision project to all of us, the planning board and the public. Followed by just a very short presentation by myself about some of the big picture items that I believe the planning board and the town needs to consider consider. Following that, there would be comments and questions from the planning board to the applicant and representatives to answer some of the issues that may have been raised in their presentation and also in mine. Then number 4 would be comments and questions from butters in the public, and we'll take as long as we need to get through all that. And then after that, the planning board will begin a discussion of some of the big picture issues related to the subdivision and discussing some of the waiver requests, peer review studies, the conservation analysis, other aspects of the plan. And all that is in preparation for our next meeting on August 10th, if that is indeed when the meeting will be continued. So that will be subject to discussion later. So I'll be coming back to this for my presentation after the applicants provide theirs, which I believe they would like to speak to this plan sheet.
Yes. So good evening. My name is Bob Collins. I'm an attorney from Groton representing Fox Meadow Realty Corp. and Moulton Construction, which owns this property. And I'd like to give kind of a brief overview of the last 2.5 decades as it applies to this site, and also give you some information of stuff that we will be revising and providing with an aim to having some discussion, but hopefully continuing the meeting to your first meeting in September, which would enable us to finish the process, I believe, with the Conservation Commission, and also provide some of the additional documentation that I think you guys and the abutters will want. So this property is approximately 191 acres. It's the final phase of an effort at limited development and land preservation that Dave Moulton and Bob Lacombe, the late Bob Lacombe, started in the late 90s when they purchased this property in 1998, which was comprised of 700 acres. It used to belong to Sandville Corp., which is very familiar to a lot of people in town. It was a major employer. And they had stockpiled this property and the 500 acres in Groton, I think with an intent at quarrying it someday, and it's actually very fortuitous for us all that that never occurred. So the property kind of sat unused for the better part of the last century, but during Sandville's ownership for a period of about 50 years. And there have been prior development discussions with regard to this property and the Groton property. And my clients purchased, as I say, back in '98, began the process in Groton, which again was a limited development proposal that compressed development into 60 acres of the 500 acres in Groton and resulted in a 437-acre gift to Mass Audubon, who owns the 437 acres that immediately abut this. The Ayer property was in many respects part of that development process and actually went through the MIPA process and the endangered species process, both of which will have to be amended with this plan, because back in those days, Ayer did not have a cluster variant in its zoning. So in those days, developing this site actually would have eaten up much of the land. So again, it is fortuitous that the property continued to sit. So we fast forward to a few years ago when Mr. Moulton asked us to put together something that would complete this process of preservation. And he actually purchased some additional land to augment it so that he would own more of the shoreline of Long Pond. And the reason for this effort is that this property, again, by an accident of history, that it just sat, is actually, this and the property in Groton, is actually one of the most significant properties worthy of preservation in eastern Massachusetts. Back when we were working on, well, back actually when I was working on this for Lone Star, because there was a development project that started in the late 80s on this. This property was looked at by the Commonwealth and several of its agencies, and our then Secretary of Environmental Affairs, Bob Duran, toured this site and actually went on record as saying that this property and the property that it abuts in Groton was the most important site worthy of preservation east of Worcester. And that's what Mr. Moulton purchased it for, and the limited development was a way of paying from both sides to preserve roughly 500 acres. Now, as it turns out, it's going to be closer to 600 acres because Ayer has changed its zoning and we're able to limit the disturbance pretty significantly. So what is going to be discussed over the next several months is a 35 lot subdivision, and there has been some confusion on numbers. It will be 35 lots on a loop road that's in 2 clusters on either side of the power lines, and then gifting 164 acres to whomever this board and the Conservation Commission determine should receive it. Our preferred recipient would be the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife, because I believe they have the wherewithal to manage this property, and it could perhaps be augmented with additional important property next to this. But there will be 164 acres of permanently protected land for future generations to enjoy, including all of the frontage that Mr. Moulton owns, which happens to be next to some frontage that the town owns on Long Pond. So you'll notice that the entire right-hand side of the site is part of the open space. People will actually be able to, walk off a right road and enter what is 164 acres, which is next to 437 acres that Mr. Moulton and the late Bob Lacombe gifted to Mass Audubon. And if somebody was particularly adventurous, they could spend a couple of days hiking from this site to either Westford, Tingsboro, Dunstable, or Pepperell over publicly protected land in Ayer and Groton on an existing trail network. So this actually is an important piece for many respects. It would support a much more ambitious development. So I think the community is very fortunate that the applicant wishes to minimize the disruption and to utilize a limited development approach and preserve the better part of the site. And when this is done, assuming that this site is approved, there will be 628 contiguous acres that will be in the public domain that people can enjoy. And that's a major, major piece of acreage. I know from prior sidewalks on this site, it is mind-boggling how enormous this site is. And previous inventories, and again, when I'm saying this site, I'm including the Audubon site, previous conservation inventories have identified the unique nature of this, the number of different topographic features, habitats. There are a number of different completely unique and separated ecosystems. It really is a beautiful property, so it's very, very fortunate that it was inventoried for so long by the succession of owners. Now, I do understand this is a site that's going to generate a lot of interest. This property is part of property that has been under the approval process since 1998, so I don't expect this to happen overnight. I do imagine that the hearings before this board will stretch over several months. We have received the planner's report which we will augment the information, some traffic information and some additional information that Mark has asked for. I've also gone through the DPW's report, and I have a meeting set up with Mark and Dan next Tuesday to go over that. We have another meeting with the Conservation Commission, and I forget the date, Stan. Yeah, August 11th. I believe they want to do a site walk before that meeting, if I recall correctly. And it would be a wonderful thing if the planning board could coordinate and walk the site at the same time, because it is a very large site, and that way nobody will get lost. And what I envisioned is that we would come back to your first meeting in September, and at that point, I think we will have filled in some of the gaps that Mark identified. We will have certainly satiated any concerns that the DPW has. And then I would imagine we would have a series of several hearings in the fall where we can address concerns that all of you guys might have. Now, I understand and acknowledge that this will be a change for the Wright Road neighborhood, and I have friends in the Wright Road neighborhood, so I'm very sensitive to that. But there are a lot of positive things that it's kind of convenient to finally have put to bed. First of all, when you have an enormous site of developable land that is vacant, that is sitting there, it actually is a nice thing as a landowner, if you're a neighbor, to finally know what's going to happen there. And knowing that it will be largely preserved, 16.4% of this site will be developed. The remaining 86%, 85% will be in the public domain. That's actually a very nice thing. There also will be, I understand, certainly infrastructure improvements that will have to occur in order for this to come to fruition. And that'll actually benefit everybody. So I do believe at the end of it all, this will be a cooperative effort. Mr. Moulton is known for being very cooperative. And actually, I think I have the same reputation, if not cooperative version, on being a pushover. So we actually want to make everybody happy. And I understand that in a perfect world, it would be wonderful if the whole site was going to be preserved, but there has to be a way to pay for these things. And this is a decent trade-off. 16% is a very decent trade-off to preserve 164 acres next to another 437. So I know that all of you have concerns, but we certainly will do everything we can to make this as good as it possibly can be for you. The last thing on that subject that I'd like to say, when I was first in practice, an old timer said to me, you know, you get a chance to develop a site once. Because once it's developed, it's very hard to take it back. So it's very nice that this is going to be done in a very limited development way. This site would support easily 75 lots, which would inalterably change the feeling of the neighborhood and would not have the feeling of a couple of isolated clusters. So I believe we're going to do this as nice as can be done, both for my client, for the town, but also for all of you. And I'm hoping at the end of it all that we make you guys happy about it as well.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. May I ask, would you please introduce the people you're here with this evening?
So this is Frank McPartman of Dillis and Roy, Stan Dillis of Dillis and Roy. I know he hates to be identified, but this is David Moulton, who is the principal of Moulton Construction, Allison Realty Corp., Fox Meadow Realty Corp., and Deerfield Realty Corp.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And one public service announcement. It's raining outside and there's a car right there with its windows open. Sorry, guys.
It's white.
It's a white car right at the end of the walkway. If you want to close your windows, we won't get much done in the minute or two you're outside. Sorry, guys, but okay. That's usually my car. It's usually my car. But anyway, thank you, Mr. Collins. And you completed your opening comments?
Yes, and again, I do know that the one thing I do want to say is I know that a lot of what you guys need to do has to wait until you get a report from the Conservation Commission, and you don't have that yet because we haven't finished the process. So again, yeah, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have. I know that you have a long agenda. I'm also more than happy to simply come back in September when we have more information so that we can have a more meaningful conversation. I know that, and again, to reassure all of you guys, these things don't happen in one night. This is gonna take several months. So you'll all have an opportunity, I know, to speak.
No, I appreciate that, Mr. Collins. We do have a great deal of interest this evening, and I am interested in letting that interest be known.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So, if you completed your comments about this, Mark, you were going to take a minute? If I remember the agenda?
Yes.
The sub-agenda? And then we'll have the board, some interesting stuff on the board. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to give a quick overview of the project from my understanding as a town planner. Also, a little bit of my background as a bird watcher is going to come in here, so don't be alarmed by that. Basically, Mr. Collins mentioned that we have a bylaw in town called Open Space Residential Development, which allows subdivisions to be developed such that at least 50% of the tract is preserved as open space, allowing the number of lots that would otherwise be developed in a conventional subdivision to go on the rest of the land. As Mr. Collins mentioned, about 86% of this tract in Stratton Hill is being proposed as open space. And as he also mentioned, we have several months to consider this subdivision. Basically, I believe that date is correct.
Yep, and we'll extend it
I was
as
going to say,
need be.
without extensions, and we haven't, extensions happen.
Yeah, we're happy to
They
extend
happen,
it.
thank you.
And as he also mentioned, when we look at the overlays that we have available to us from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the various environmental programs they have, this area is within what's known as an area of critical environmental concern, which is sort of a broad brush that the state applies to certain areas that have higher environmental values than others. There's also a subset of the state government called the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program, NHESP. And within that, there are several designations. One is critical natural landscape, and the other is called core habitat. And this part of Ayer and southern Groton constitutes the largest intact forest block in the region, as they also mentioned. Large forest blocks are important to the breeding success of many forest-dwelling birds like wood thrushes, warblers, scarlet tanagers, and those things, many of which migrate to the tropics, and many of which are declining. Those are the bird species that are declining, whereas blue jays and crows are increasing because they can do well with human disturbance. So that's just something to keep in mind as we review the subdivision and evaluate the land within it. Now, when I first came to the town, one of the first things I discovered is that we have a really excellent GIS on our town's website called Mr. Mapper. And when I first looked at Mr. Mapper, I was just getting a feel for the town and what was around. And I noticed that, there was this large subdivision road that went into this large area of forest. And I was like, I wonder what's up with that. And I asked around, and they mentioned that was the Stratton Hill development that was approved by the planning board in, I believe, 2005, but which never was built, probably because of the recession a few years later. But just with my bird watcher hat on, I said, well, wouldn't it be nice if they came back that, they could stay south of the power lines? I thought that would be a better environmental outcome. Since this is a large contiguous forest tract, I do very much appreciate the efforts that the applicant and the engineers have done to sort of retract the area north of the power lines. Essentially, the road sort of curves here. This is the existing road that was roughed in the mid-2000s. So what they're proposing goes a little bit north of the power lines here, but not as much as what you see. But still, wearing my, again, bird watcher hat, you know, I'm very cognizant of the value of intact forest areas for many bird species. And so that's something that I keep in mind that I think should inform our deliberations. So some of the initial topics to consider is they did prepare a conservation analysis, which is one of the primary things that the Conservation Commission reviews and gets their comments and opinions to the planning board to inform the planning board on its work. It's my belief that the conservation analysis needs a little bit more work. It was a little bit scant on details. I would like to see a little more detail on the habitat types and some of the measures that might be taken to lessen impacts on wildlife. So I would like to see a better version of that. The other issue, you know, we know Wright Road is a, you know, small road with I think about 65 or so homes on it. So if they put in 35 units, that'll equate to, if say there are 10 car trips a day per single family home, which is about the ballpark figure, that would be about 350 new trips per day on top of what's there now. So I recommend, the planning board has the power to hire consultants, and my recommendation is that a traffic impact mitigation study would be something that would help us to identify, you know, how much traffic might increase in relation to what traffic is there now. One thing that we would get out of a traffic study is that, you know, we would know what the existing baseline figures are in terms of traffic generation, safety issues, the conditions of the road, et cetera, et cetera. I know that area is used by a lot of pedestrians as well as fishermen who fish off of the causeway. And so there are, you know, many things that, you know, it's a fairly busy area of town and we'd like to take all that into account. Also, and this is something that we may need to discuss later, there is a provision in our subdivision regulations that says that dead-end streets should be no more than 650 feet long. Now, I know what they're proposing is sort of a loop road, but right now I believe it only has one entrance and egress from Wright Road. So whether that constitutes a dead end is something that we will be exploring. Also, we need to work with the fire and the police departments to make sure that there is emergency access in case that road was ever blocked or anything like that happened. These are a little bit more fine-tuned scale things that we'll be getting into in the next several months, but it appears that several of the driveways in the far northern part of the loop that they're proposing are very long. Some of the driveways are over 200 feet long with steep slopes from where the road goes to the houses. So that's something that I think we should look at more closely. DPW also had extensive comments about this, which Mr. Collins mentioned they will be meeting with DPW to address these, such as the location of the utilities. DPW recommends that a sidewalk be installed on the outside of the loop, since under our present DPW, pedestrian connections and multimodal transportation is a big emphasis. Also, we would need more details on streetlights. DPW believes that there needs to be a better understanding of the limits of clearing of vegetation during construction. Also, just like the prior project, this piece of land has a lot of ledge or bedrock, and so some blasting or breaking up of the ledge would be necessary. I'm sure they did some of that in 2004 or 5 when they put in the road. There'll be more. And, you know, my recommendation, you know, it sounds like the applicant is moving in this direction, that they would like to work out a lot of these details with the DPW before they come back to the planning board. And so at this meeting, I think we have a chance to sort of see if this road configuration is final as what they were initially proposing, or if it's something that might change. And that's it for my opening comments.
Thank you, Mark. Gene, could I possibly say a couple of things?
Yes.
Can you put back up the aerial photo?
Yes, what, this one?
Yeah, because it shows things so well. So, one thing that I would like to talk about, we had worked quite a bit, and I nagged my poor client into oblivion about a year, trying to figure out a way to situate all of the development on the right road side of the power lines. And at the end of the day, it seemed as though it was a better, that unfortunately would have eaten up all that land that's on the top side of the subdivision road, which actually is a very nice way to get to Long Pond. So it seemed as though it was a decent trade-off to do two clusters vastly reduced in size on either side of the power lines, and then preserve everything that we could on Long Pond, which this plan does accomplish. We do show it on the aerial that we brought.
I'll bring that back up.
So that, we did, the other thing that,
This does what it wants when you touch it.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, that, yeah.
We'll be lost for an hour. Absolutely.
so we did several design studies having all of the development down here.
Careful.
And I won't touch it.
The mouse started to move when you had your hand closed.
Oh, no, that was me.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to follow where you're going.
And it actually seemed to be a better trade-off to try and preserve all of that pond frontage and surround the whole thing to essentially insulate the development from the neighborhood with open space. The other conclusion that we came to is that it probably would be more intrusive to the neighborhood to have all of that land on this side of the power lines developed. So it did seem to be a good idea to try and tuck a little bit on the other side. Originally, though, one of the goals that has been going on since I've been involved in this site, which goes back to '87, was that everything between this set of power lines and the power lines behind Shaw's and Groton should be in the public domain. We achieved that in Groton. We were able to compress stuff into a really small area. Not that that site is particularly forgiving, but this site is worse. So it actually seemed to be a better idea to insulate two clusters rather than plunk it all down below. With regard to traffic, actually, we were inclined to hire a traffic engineer. One was done before, but as I said on the telephone, that gentleman has since passed on. Time has passed, so we were going to do a new one and submit it to you, and then perhaps it might be a better use of the board's resources to have that reviewed.
I think we should, before you start on that, I think we need to discuss that a little
Yeah.
bit.
We appreciate the offer.
Yeah, but we're going to pay for both.
Absolutely.
Very well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to discuss it.
Yeah, but we actually will be hiring a traffic engineer, so, then the only question that I have, and I hadn't thought of it until I saw your report, what Dave has done on the other side of the site in Groton with regard to streetlights, because people go back and forth on streetlights, but right now nobody wants them, is he's actually installed the infrastructure, the wiring and the bases, and then left it that way, and if anybody ever felt that streetlights ought to be there in the future, would do it. Or the town could do it, the infrastructure is
for
there.
public safety on those items.
Yeah, and then we do show a sidewalk, but it's on the inside of the loop.
Okay, yeah, that's why he mentioned me.
Yeah.
He preferred on the other side, but that,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get to it.
But in any event, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the siting. Thank you.
So, you're done?
Yes,
Yep.
I'm sorry, Mr. Collins, yes, you're done.
I am.
You're done for now.
Yes.
Mark, you're finished?
Yeah.
No? Okay. To the board, Mr. Krantz.
First of all, thank you, Mr. Collins, for the presentation, and also, especially for anchoring it in the context of what the overall goal is. You spoke a lot, I'm sorry, you spoke a lot about preserving the space. I
Yes.
was wondering, do do you have any intent for a means of public access to that space from Wright Road? How do you anticipate people will actually have access to this space?
Well, it'll be public land, they can just walk on it, we're gifting it.
So you imagine them going through for example, the property in Rocky Hill, there's a trailhead area.
That's
and
correct.
you go through the development, and there's a separate place to park, and the
That's
trail
correct.
begins, and so I'm wondering, from here, where would the public get that access to the public?
Oh, Mr. Collins, would you like to?
No, I don't want to touch that. No, but all of that land will be in the public domain, so people can just enter it. If the board wanted us to provide a parking area, as Dave did for the Audubon side, we've got plenty of space up here that could be done. And that might be a nice idea.
Maybe more on the left
Yeah.
of the entrance, where the originally approved development had 2 entries on Wright Road. So to the left, to the west, there's an already constructed area which might be feasible for that, if that was the route that we choose to go.
So basically, you're open to providing.
Oh, absolutely, positive.
Other questions? I defer to my other board members.
I have a bunch of technical questions, I've written them out, and I'm gonna ask Mark to put my flash drive in there, we can put them up on the screen, and I'll hand it out to the engineers, especially for myself and the board.
Thank you, Ken.
Just pass these on to myself.
Thank you.
And I got a copy.
One more for the record, yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'll show you the file.
Wait, it's one.
I must be the sand disk.
You see which, this
Sand
is
disk.
right here?
Yeah.
That's still mine.
Oh,
That's yours.
I was on D, it looks, file trans E looks new,
Yeah, I mean.
or you can
Oh,
scroll
that's
down.
Yeah, that's me right there.
Oh,
Okay.
that's you.
Let's go to the clarifications, KD clarifications, right there. No, those are-
Okay.
yeah.
Right here?
Right. Okay, so I did spend quite a bit of time looking at the drawings that were submitted and also the DPW comments. So now that you have mentioned a few things this evening, some of this could be redundant to what you said. These are clarifications that I found that I think need to be straightened out on the drawings and as part of the application that was submitted. And not the least of which is the very first statement, which you just said there were 35
There were
lots.
35.
The drawings say there were
I know.
36 lots.
So we're revising that. There will be 35 lots here. I apologize for the confusion, although it's not of my doing, but 35 lots.
So that's different than the drawings that are
That's
submitted.
correct.
So
It'll be
you're
the
working
same
on-
road network.
Okay.
There will be one lot less.
I'm not sure if Mr. Dillis is better to answer these or.
Well,
Gentlemen, yourself.
I'll answer first and
Okay,
then
so-
tell them if I need
The
help.
second statement is a part of your application, which indicated that, and stated that you were building a private roadway to be constructed. So I'm just asking you to explain what that means.
I am mystified by that. I did not come up with that language. This will meet town road acceptance standards, and we're anticipating at the end of the development, when it's complete, that this will go for road acceptance and be a public road.
Okay. The next one is simply something you may be working on already. We all know you're within the jurisdiction of the NHESP. Clarify the status of your no-take letter.
So it's not a no-take letter. We have a conservation management permit from NHESP that encompasses the entire site. We actually have explained, that included the Ayer subdivision. We've met with representatives at NHESP with the idea of amending that because this occupies less of an area. But there is an existing conservation management permit from NHESP that will be amended.
And that will be obviously put in our files. and
Yes,
we'll have it.
that's correct.
And we're currently in compliance with that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, there's the next section is 2.2, which is listed as, requested waivers. And I guess this would be as good a time as any to explain why you're not requesting a waiver from the 600.
Oh, I will be requesting a waiver on that, so I'm, in time for the next meeting, I actually will give you a letter with, I believe, 4 waiver requests, and that will be one of them.
So currently, it's not shown on the drawings, that's why.
Yeah, but I'll be doing that on the separate cover.
So there's a list of waivers on the
That's
draft.
correct, there'll be
Thank you
one
very much.
additional one.
Thank you.
Okay, then again, the section of the permits. So you do mention in the application and in, your verbiage that you have this Mass EPA MEPA, filing and I presume approval.
Yes,
So I guess we're looking to find out, is that still valid or do you need a new
it
filing?
is still valid because again, it encompasses both sites. So I've discussed it with representatives at their office. What I need to do is a notice of project change,
Okay,
which I will be doing. I actually wanted to get through at least one meeting with you guys and complete the process with the Conservation Commission before I do that, in case the plan gets massaged a little. But we actually will be filing what we call a notice of project change, which I imagine they will approve. If they don't approve, then we go to a new filing.
okay, and obviously we'll see it.
That's correct, yes.
So at least to me, based on what you've said so far, is that we need to think of this as only one small part of a 700-acre development,
Yes,
rather than the part that's just in.
That's
Ayer.
correct.
So, because many of the documents involve work that was done in Groton. and
that's
whatnot.
correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is just a note for the engineer. Some of the plans came in stamped, issued for permit. Some of them don't have signatures, some don't. Please just clarify that they wouldn't
We'll
get a set
fix
of
all of
plans.
that.
They'll all be fixed, okay?
And we'll fix the
Take
town.
the town,
I
yeah,
heard
town
that one.
Bolton off that. You saw that or not? No?
The application's already in our hands.
Yeah.
We're not the town of Littleton.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, Bolton, or whatever.
Sorry.
yeah, and I apologize.
We understand how it happens. We gotta have fun with you too.
So the next couple of 3 are just clarifications of that, the drawings to take some, nomenclature of the drawings. But this next one for the proposed hay bale line is of interest to me. So the proposed hay bales and silt fence shown on the limit of clearing across, they're shown to be across the easement. So the drawings show the limit of clearing in the hay bale line installed across the easement in both directions. However, I don't know if you have permission from, the power company to close off their roads that go under that easement from east to west. So I'm looking for you to give us that information.
We can provide additional information on that, sure.
And then another note there, in addition, I want a detail on how you intend to finish the landscaping on the road so that you, in the future, we don't have equipment from the power company crossing the road and damaging either the road surface, the berm, sidewalks, or any landscaping on the side of the road. So the drawings show nothing about how this power line easement would be accessible to the power company after you install the road. Need some kind of a detail and
Sure.
clarification on how that is gonna all line up. The DPW also mentioned some clarification on the detailed drawings, but in particular, the typical road cross section doesn't match our specifications, as far as the planting strip and whatnot, so please clear that up. Okay, so the plan you had up on the board, the very first plan, which is the conservation area plan, has a calculation in the upper right-hand corner that talks about the potential number of units. But the calculation is under an old formula that we don't use anymore. The new formula is shown in section 10.14 of the OSA regulations and requires a yield plan. You as an applicant chose not to submit a preliminary plan, and that's typically when the yield plan and account, things like that might get worked out. So I'm looking for you to put that calculation on the drawing in accordance with the calculations required and put a table on the plan that shows how you get to the number. I'm gonna give you a hint, it might come out to exactly the same number, but at least we'll be in compliance with the requirement at that point in time. That's what I'm getting at. Just looking for the plan to match up what our regulations state, okay? The next one, again, is a simple housekeeping event. Every single time you show a building or a lot, try to put the number on the building and the lot, so when we look from plan to plan, we see the lot number in the building all the time.
Yes.
Some pages just show the building without a number, and so on and so forth.
We'll fix that, yeah, because that's confusing, I agree,
And
Ken.
the same thing with the detail, the very last comment, if you move up the screen. So just move, yeah, if you could pull it up. Again, just the detail sheets. The details on the sheets are not numbered. So the references on the plan say simply go to sheet number 7.2. It should say the detail number on 7.2.
Okay.
Number 1 on 7.2, whatever the case might be.
That's easily accomplished.
Now we're going to get into some more interesting things. Okay, so it's very obvious the change in the road alignment and the fact that you now have one entrance road and not two. So can you take this time to tell us, the engineers, why you've gone to the one road from the two?
Well, actually, I might be best at answering that, and then you guys can augment it if you want. We could stick with the original double-barreled entrance. It did seem, first of all, that it was superfluous, because I think it really didn't serve any purpose other than just meeting regulation. It also involved more disturbance. Allowing one entrance at this location, as we've shown, actually lets us pick up more of the surface water runoff that sheets off the hill right now, and there will be additional once there's impervious cover, and actually improve a situation that exists now, and I believe I'm stating it correctly. So it was for two reasons. First of all, because it did seem a little superfluous, but it also allowed us to actually improve the stormwater situation. The older plan, and there's stuff in a file cabinet someplace upstairs that has a full set of drainage calcs from the older plan. The older plan did meet the regs, and it minimized increases to surface water runoff from Wright Road. But that takes into account the existing runoff that comes down off that hill. This plan actually goes one step better because it actually reduces further what will actually find its way to Wright Road and captures more of it. So that's why we did it. We're more than happy to go back to it if the board was so inclined. We understand that it needs a waiver. But I think it actually, there were good reasons behind that waiver, and that's certainly a discussion we can have next month once I give you that letter.
Okay, thank you for that. And the next one again is a technical question. The subdivision regulations would allow us to have only a 40-foot right-of-way. Your plans show a 50-foot right-of-way. And I'm just thinking in terms of every foot being important.
And I don't know, why did we do it that way, Stan? Do you know? Do you remember?
Only because the original road was 50 feet wide, and the 50-foot width doesn't increase the amount of pavement or anything, it's just the right-of-way. We can shrink the right-of-way to 40 feet, but ultimately it doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't change the road.
It doesn't change the road configuration, or the width of the pavement, or anything like that.
Right, and that's the reason I think you ought to reduce it, because you'll pick up a 5 feet on either side, or at least 10 feet on one side if you so chose, to put the houses that much closer, potentially reducing the overall lot sizes.
Take a look.
Yeah,
The
we're
front-
more than happy if you want.
Take a look at
Yeah.
it. What I'm everything you hear out of me is gonna be an effort to keep reducing that footprint in compliance with our compact development thoughts and ways to consolidate. You made a presentation about that, which we potentially we're gonna be disputing later, the whole way it's laid out.
Yeah.
Just keep it in mind. But it's based on a concept that any foot we can save is another feet of forest that we can save. So, and the new profile that we worked on for the road construction, where we, in subdivisions, we eliminated the requirement for 2 sidewalks and put only required one side. This was part of the thought process that we worked on when we did the subdivision regulations over, was we could keep that within a smaller footprint by only requiring, I think, trees on one side of the road and one planting strip on one sidewalk. So that's what that's based on. Thank you. Okay, so this one is something for you to do in the future, the next item. Typically, it would be great for a developer to come in here and tell us exactly how their whole project, you did a great job of presenting the project. But within our open space residential development section, we have a purpose. And those primary purposes are based on what we believe are advantages in the future to the town of Ayer in doing this kind of work. So could you consider putting together a narrative for
Absolutely.
that and explain to us, step by step, how you think this project is complying with the purposes that are stated in the open space residential
Absolutely, very
regulations?
happy to do it. Of course, I'm known for being very long-winded, and I give these treatises, so be careful what you ask
No,
for.
I'm
But
asking
as long as you
for-
don't get sick of listening to me, I'm happy to do
If
it.
you could do it both in a narrative we can read,
Yeah,
then you can
and I
just
will.
review it at the meeting, but
I will.
I think you'll find that to be a good exercise for yourself and a good exercise to inform the community how this, despite what you've said already, would be add on to the
Sure.
narrative of the project.
No, happy to do it.
Okay, the next one is again a technical question. We have 700 feet of road, 350 in each direction going through doing the power company easement and under the transmission lines. I'm very curious about that. So there's a requirement by New England Power called an assent agreement, and I'd like to see a copy of that.
Yeah. We will, yeah, of course, they don't own that property, they have an easement, but.
They're all about it.
Yeah, we will happily talk to them.
So the assent agreement is something that you'll find, I thought you'd know what it is, but
Yeah, no, we've dealt with them over in Groton.
no, it's the Groton Power Light. Could be.
Oh, no,
could be
it's the same one,
could be the
same one,
easement,
same
correct.
easement, yeah.
But this is an important document which will help us understand what can and cannot end up going under there, and how it's regulated by New England Power, and how it might affect road
Sure.
construction and access to the road and so forth through that area. So I appreciate your thoughts on that. That's, at the moment, that's what I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Disson. All my notes are taken care of. For now. No, it's, I do want, we have a lot of people, any other comments from members of the board at this point in time? Questions?
I think we'll cover it as we go. I think I have some major concerns about the stormwater and the runoff and the drainage we've seen over the past 10 or 15 years. And what we'll be doing about that, but I trust that we'll talk about that as we go. I think I have a question for the board, just for my own sake, is as we're talking about coming back to this in a month, I know we just kindly said extensions happen, but I just want to have a better understanding if we're going to wait a month, how we feel about that as board members before we revisit this project. It's just a question.
Well, I feel that there's a number of documents that have to be upgraded, and I'd rather feel comfortable if every comment that was provided by the DPW was addressed specifically in the month, and I think it'll take them a month to do that.
Yeah.
I don't feel
That's
any
why I
apprehension that
suggested.
there's a month's worth of work
Yeah.
on their part to get back to us.
Now, I'm going to put it a different way. We are often hustling on Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday to digest hastily done stuff.
Yeah.
And as you can tell, we've become sticklers for stamps, signatures, dates. We want the plans to be what they will be going forward. Because we do deal with plans from years ago that don't represent what was put in place. So we sticklers on that. So if we move with, I don't want to say move carefully, we want to move carefully, but we want to keep moving forward. But I'd rather get a little bit of time in so the applicant can answer the questions, we can get the information disseminated, and then work with a better information with the DPW. This is a large one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And could I just say one thing, not that I want to give my client a heart attack, but on the Groton side, we actually spent 8 years of continuous public hearings. I don't anticipate that here. Neither Dave or I probably have 8 years that we can do that. But I certainly think this is going to take a number of months. I'm sure I'm going to be given an extension past that November deadline. But I'm hoping we can finish this before the end of the calendar year.
You just had another gray hair, Mr. Collins. Thank you. So we're at the point where the board's asked their questions. There seems to be a couple people in the room, and I'd like to open the floor. First, I'm sorry?
Just want to make sure you get the names and.
Yes, I will do that.
Just making sure.
I apologize if I don't recognize you. Some people I do recognize, and the first hand that shot up is Carolyn McCreary.
Thank you, board, and I appreciate.
Excuse me, please
Oh,
identify
sorry.
yourself and where do you live?
I'm Carolyn McCreary. I live at 6 Wachusett Avenue East, down the hill from.
Yeah.
On
Yes.
And I really appreciate the fact that you are trying to preserve a lot of this land, and it is pristine. On the other hand, I was also a co-chair of the master plan committee, and I would like to read a paragraph from that master plan. And this is under the land use section. And it says, at just 9.6 square miles and with less than 200 developable acres remaining, Ayer has very limited land available for future development. The town is no longer in a position to be permissive for developers and landowners seeking to develop fiscally and environmentally unsustainable projects. New projects must be compact and are best suited to occur in underutilized rather than undeveloped land. Moving forward, the town's staff, planning board, and zoning board of appeals must review projects to ensure that they are in conformance with the master plan's goals to provide inclusive housing and economic opportunities, maximize existing multimodal transportation options, minimize fiscal impacts to the town for the cost of delivery of services, and protect critical natural and cultural resource protections. I claim that this project does not meet any of those four goals. That's not to say that we don't need development and wouldn't love you to help develop the town. But the development needs to be on Park Street, on West Main Street, on Main Street, maybe in Devon's Crest in a sensible way that will work with the current residents. So just keeping that in mind, and as part of this plan, it says the planning board is responsible for implementing the master plan. And I believe that we can work with this developer by purchasing the land to preserve all of it, and by encouraging the developer to work to develop in ways that this town feels are appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Other hands from? Yes, Mr. Gray.
Hi, Phil Gray, 7 Wachusett Avenue East.
Speak up.
Phil Gray, 7 Wachusett Avenue East. I'd like to agree with everything that was just said, both in terms of the obvious thought that's gone into the presentation and the thought that's gone into the analysis so far. I want to talk a little bit about the traffic study because I definitely appreciate your suggestion that that be done. I just, no mention was made of the town beach. That Wright Road basically goes to Snake Hill, that goes right by the town beach. And so there are two things about that are important. One is the extent of the traffic study, because I would like, if possible, that it go and study the town beach area. We've all seen little kids going by with their floaties and that kind of thing, and so we want to make sure that that's safe. The other thing has to do with timing, because there's a big difference between August and November. And I would posit that a traffic study around that area in November really wouldn't be of much use. And so that puts a little bit of a pressure to make that decision sooner, ideally, so that those measurements are taken before Labor Day, on a weekend when it's sunny. So that's it.
We can make Mr. Chair, if we can make a slight clarification on that. Traffic studies that have been done for us in the past before model the the entire 12 months of the year. So for instance, when we did Shaker Mill Pond in the winter, they modeled all the use of the golf course and put all that traffic into the report. So your apprehension about this timing will be overcome, I think, by the engineer's knowledge of modeling the summer usage, the fall, the whole season, they'll put it all together. And
That's great. I do school design, and we do a lot of traffic studies around schools, which obviously have safety issues. And our experience is that typically the traffic engineer goes out there specific days, usually 3, and they take all their counts. And so to have it be even more than that would be fantastic. Okay. So thank you.
In the back. I apologize I don't recognize you, but I have 2 or 3 at this point.
Mr. Pearl.
Yes, Chris Pearl, 28 Wright Road.
Thank you.
I am echoing on the town planners, looking at the roadway down there, as some of you have been up Wright Road, it is not a wide road at all. During the winter time, the road isn't plowed wide enough. Now we have school buses going up that road that when the school bus comes up, we have to pull over into somebody's yard. So how are we going to handle 80 plus more cars a day coming up and down that road? Several children out there riding their bikes, people walking, there's no sidewalks. So I'm in public safety myself. I make recommendations to the town that I work in. I'm the safety officer for the town of Acton. So I have huge safety concerns with this traffic and the egress, one way coming up Wright Road. That's it. There's one way in, one way out, not like Mr. Malton's development over in Groton, where he has 2 large roads that feed that. So I appreciate consideration of looking into those matters. It affects all of us that live up there. And then the added comment that Mr. Collins brought in, he wants to bring more of the general public up in that area for a conservation area. So that's just more traffic being brought up into this road that I feel that can't handle the traffic now. Thank you very much for your consideration and time.
Thank you, Mr. Pearl.
Susan Tordella, 5 Hedgeway Street. So what's the average size of the house is going to be? How many square feet?
24, 2,500.
I believe 24 or 2,500 square feet.
And are you aware of what's going on in Devon's Crest where they just sent
Yes.
eviction notices to 60 people?
Yes.
And to Carolyn McCreary's point, we need transit-oriented design and location, and we also need more affordable housing. So I know it might bring more traffic to Wright Road, but have you considered, making some of those dwellings smaller or put more, make them into true houses, even just some percentage of affordable housing?
So we can certainly look into that, yeah.
Sorry, Jess.
Hi, Jessica Gino, Mountain View Avenue. I want to support Philip's comment about the traffic study. I think there is a very unique difference in how much traffic is created by both people using the town beach as well as fishermen and boaters. So I don't know, I would suggest doing it earlier if possible would be good. The second question related to the road that has me concerned, for the immediate future is how long do you expect this project, how many years to take roughly, just a ballpark? At least 5 years or?
Dave is telling me 2, and I think that's optimistic. I would think 3 to 5.
3 to 5. And I'd just like the planning board to keep in mind that Wright Road is currently already in terrible shape. It's been neglected by the town for years. And with the new water line that went down half of Wright Road, I don't know why they didn't do the whole of it, but with that new water line, they just did a patch job on the pavement. I don't see how that road is going to withstand heavy construction equipment and all that traffic for the next 3 to 5 years or whatever. And that's not to say anything about proposed development. The planning board needs to work on the town to make that passable for all the residents who are still going to be living there. And it's not going to even even make it through this winter, I don't think, as it currently is.
If I could just say, I would venture to say we probably will be called upon and be willing to assist the DPW actually in fixing Wright Road, because again, it's gonna need to be done.
Right, so that would be fixing it both during the project as well as
After, yeah, you wouldn't want to
So-
completely redo it until the work is done, that's
Thank you.
correct.
Also, just to correct you, the Conservation Commission meeting is August 12th.
12, that's right.
And we're not meeting until then, so.
Well, we
would-
talked about the 10th on something, was that the
Something
date for the
else.
sidewalk maybe?
No, I don't think we've set up a sidewalk yet because our chair wasn't at
Okay,
the last meeting.
thank you.
And if that was a shared sidewalk with planning board, it's pertinent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jess. And thank you for clearing up the date of the next meeting.
Yeah, thank you.
That's very helpful. Any other comments? Yes. This one first, I'm sorry.
Stephanie had 14 Wright Road. In the last couple of years, there have been 2 properties that have been in the neighborhood that have gone in front of, I believe, the zoning board of appeals for various traffic issues. And they were both denied based on the traffic. And that was just an Airbnb and a neighbor with a landscaping company keeping their equipment there. And both of those reasons were because of traffics. And that was just those 2 very localized, not a huge development going in. And again, I do appreciate the green space, but you know, there has to be some kind of precedent set somewhere. You can't just mix and match accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, she had her arm up first, I don't know. I don't know who's gonna
Jeannie DeSanta, 3 Calvin Street. I do not live on Wright Road, but I live at the corner of Snake Hill and Calvin. And the traffic already, just for the people who live on Wright Road, it is so squeezed right where I am. I can't even imagine how it's going to be with that plan. And also, what is, she asked about the size, square foot of each home. What's this, how big are the lots?
They vary in the size. The average, I think, is about 3/4 of an acre.
3/4 of an acre?
Yeah.
Each stop,
That's yet to be.
because it looks like they're so
Yeah.
smashed
So,
together.
excuse me. Yeah, I think where we are with that is the plans are going to get redrawn. The number of lots on the plans has changed. One of the things we've had going on is we've had multiple numbers reported to us from 32 to 39. I believe Mr. Collins has told us this evening it's going to be 35. We are going to work with the proponent to reduce the lot sizes as much as we can as part of our OSRD. That'll be part of the process. I would hope that they would be smaller than what we're currently looking at. But again, this is going to be somewhat of a process over time. If I just jump in and answer the question, I don't speak to it.
But as shown, I think they average about 3/4 of an acre.
Which would be about
Half an acre.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's 25 to 35,000, sorry. 20 to 33,000 square feet would be half to 3/4 an acre in real estate terms, not real acreage terms.
Yes.
It's just easier to figure that out. Do you have another
And
question?
can the current town's water and sewer handle this project?
That would be, we don't have any indication from the DPW that it cannot handle this. And the DPW will be working with the proponent as the plans come together to see how that will be taken care of.
And is there any other way to get to this other than Wright Road? What's at the top? Is there any other,
No.
there's no other cross road?
That's Mass Audubon up there.
So it's,
That's
I agree with everyone
correct?
else has
That's
said,
correct.
it's just too big of a project for too small of an area. It's just my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes,
Makes
Mr.
sense to put the DPW letter on the screen, the comments that were sent to us from DPW.
Actually, we're going to be meeting with them Tuesday, and I don't think it's worth your time until after we meet with them.
We're still very early in the process.
How to get some comment.
Well, I'll ask them.
They did unmute themselves, that's all.
Joe, you're gonna host a Zoom meeting
Oh,
tonight?
sure. Where do you want to start?
Well, we don't have to.
Let's, hold on.
There's a person.
Yeah, no, yes, I'm sorry.
We got a real person, hold on.
Get this team.
Hey, Joe, I'm a real person.
Wait, are you a
Just don't tell me your name is Zoom, okay?
It's my last name. Steve Slarski, 1 Ledgeway in here. I was on the board of selectmen when the sewage went in on Sandy Pond, and it went in based on the number of houses that were down there. It didn't look at development. It's not a large line. So if we add to that line, and if that's what the decision is to do, I'd like to see an engineering study showing what is the current flow now. But it was based on the houses on Sandy Pond tying in. And I bet there's not 50% of the houses on the pond that are actually tied into sewage. There's a lot of people that still use their septic system. So to build a development and not have the people that were there have the ability to tie into sewage, why would we do something like that?
I think that's a good question.
You know, so I'd like to see engineering studies showing flows, showing what the maximum would be with the houses that are there now, all tied in. And then how much can you add to that? I don't know what that answer is, but I'd like to find out before we go forward.
Thank you. And Mr. Dixon,
I have one other question if I can.
Yeah,
Stop.
of course.
So when you talk about traffic studies, I don't know anything about traffic studies. I've never seen one. I assume that means cars. Wright Road is extensively used by pedestrians. The bicycle traffic accessing the trails that are up there, it's incredible. I see it every morning. And from a safety issue, in terms of what Chris talked about, there are no sidewalks. You know, people are dodging cars now. How do you propose to mitigate that? And is it worth a development for someone to get hurt? You know? So please take that into consideration.
Thank you. And thank you. And I may be one of those cyclists you see all the time on the road. Do you want to read the comment from DPW?
Yeah.
Just to satisfy your concern, Mr. Slosky, the letter that DPW sent to us and to the applicant contains a number of sections. I'm going to highlight one of the very first paragraphs. The Ayer DPW engineering review does not include evaluation of compliance with zoning and so forth. Then the next paragraph, based on our review of the current plan set, there are considerable deficiencies in the plans. These deficiencies are too numerous to itemize at this time. We've identified several of the significant deficiencies below, but cannot complete our detailed engineering review until the revised set of plans is submitted. So we have that statement. Then I'm going to go to the wastewater. This is a brief review by DPW, Dan Van Skelwick and Mark Wetzel, and again, broken down in sections. So the wastewater section, submit a wastewater system design reporting, including prepare a summary of wastewater flows under average daily and peak hourly, verify the sizes, slopes, inverts, locations of all existing sewer in the Wright Road, Standish Road, and Wright Way. Determine existing and future wastewater flows in Wright Road area and capacity of the collection system and Wright Way pumping system to meet the future anticipated flows. Develop a proposed off-site sewer collection plan showing connections to existing systems, pipe capacity improvements, and proposed upgrade to the Wright Road ejector station. Design plans need to indicate locations of pressure sewer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I can assure you that the review by the DPW, the engineers we have in town and ourselves will talk a lot about wastewater.
So the other question I have is that include the houses that are not tied in now with the maximum flow
I
would be?
can't answer that question.
Well, but that should be part of what the study
Well, it says
shows.
the entire Wright Road system.
Well, Wright Road system,
In capacity.
but the houses, how many are tied in now versus how many are using on-site septic systems? So what would the maximum flow be with all the houses that are existing tied in before you add to that? So I didn't hear that in terms of.
Determine existing and future wastewater flows in the Wright Road area.
So
And the capacity of
they'll look at the houses that aren't tied in?
So, this is a little off topic, but I'm going to address it. The town of Ayer does not have a bylaw requiring people to connect to the wastewater system. Personally, I think that's a deficiency. That's all I'm going to say about that. We will request that they make a best engineering assumption about that. And ultimately, when it's all tied in, if the world were a perfect place and everyone was tied into the wastewater system, plus the flows created both hourly and peak from the new project, will be taken into consideration. Will that satisfy your question, Mrs. Sosnick?
Sure, but just to add one comment to what you're saying, when the sewer went in on Sandy Pond, it did not require people to tie in.
I understand.
And I believe that if they're within so many feet of that system and their system fails, they cannot make repairs to it. They have to tie in. And that was part of the agreement when the sewer
That
went
is,
in.
believe it or not, outside the purview we're discussing right now, but I think there is a deficiency and we should have people connected. We've got a wastewater treatment facility that was built in the 70s. Its capacity, we pay for it, whether it's at a partial capacity or not. When's the last time you guys bought a washing machine that used 51 gallons of water? It's been a long time. So we have capacity at the end. It's getting it there is the question, and we will work with them on that, Mr. Sosnick. Ms. Reed.
Annie Reed, 7 Wachusett Ave. Just to kind of tie into what you guys have been discussing, they recently upgraded the water main on Wright Road, or half of it, as someone mentioned. And for 2 months, the road was completely dug up. The big sections of just plain old dirt and construction vehicles blocking the road, and you would have to drive very slowly. Sometimes you would have to wait for a few minutes for them to move, a dump truck out of the way. I run up and down that road every day, and I got to know all the workers and the police and everything. But if this development is going to mean digging that road up to improve the water or the sewer lines or put pumps in or whatever's involved, that's going to be a serious hardship for the 65 or so families that live down there. And I'm just concerned about that as a hardship for all of us to endure. So with that development.
I can say something on that. We actually have met with the DPW on multiple occasions over the last, I forget how many years, but my understanding, and I believe I'm correct, is that the infrastructure that's in Wright Road itself actually doesn't need to be changed to accommodate this. So we wouldn't be digging up Wright Road. However, I'd be the first to agree with you that Wright Road needs to be fixed, and I think we are going to have a part in that. But I know that we are meeting again with DPW next week, and by the time we're done with this plan, I think we'll have all of the questions answered. But I don't believe Wright Road has to be dug up for new water mains or sewer mains for this. There might be other stuff off-site that needs to be done, but not there.
Thank you. And Mr. Collins, I'm going to ask you, I will also speak to Mr. Wetzel and Dan Skelquick, the engineer, about the
capacity.
The wastewater
yes.
capacity. If you would also do that, I appreciate it. Thank you
yes.
very much.
I have others, but I want to let everybody else have a chance.
Okay, thanks. Yes, please.
Keith Henderson, 2 Right Way.
Hi, Keith.
I'd like to bring up some of the past. Years ago, when this development was going in, they attempted to put in down by Jerry Quigley's road, I think it's Standish,
yep.
and tie the sewer in through there and have it all run through the pump station that's below ground on my property. They wanted to make significant changes to that pump station, which I was not in agreement with because of what it would do to the value of my property and all the neighbors' properties near me. It was changed. On that same line of thought, as Steve was saying, the houses that aren't tied in down there, I'm dealing with Title V on some other things in life. I can tell you now, none of the properties down there, with very few exceptions, once they get to be sold, which happens as people age and houses change hands, none of those properties are going to pass Title V for the septics that are there, or very few of them.
Oh, I'm certain of that, yes.
Which means that all of the houses down there will have to be tied to that system.
And I'm sure that's true.
And I know from being involved with it before that the capacity of the pump stations that feed through is not that, there is not, I think there was 15% capacity left on what was there when I was dealing with it. That may have changed, but I'm not aware of it.
But I know that that'll have to be resolved, because I agree with you, ultimately, everybody in your neighborhood, I'm sure, will connect to sewer.
Yep.
And it can't tie in, we can't take any more into our system.
So, and, thank you, Keith. Thank you.
Sorry.
That's quite all right.
Sorry, I was, Michelle Henderson, just wanted to comment that our system cannot take on more capacity.
So, my name is Marion Stoddard, and I live at 204 Otter Ridge Drive, and I moved here from Groton about 3 years ago. So I lived in Groton when Mr. Moulton and Gabe, he and his business partner.
Excuse me for a moment.
Yes.
Mr. Krantz, can I ask you to move the mic closer to the
Sure.
start? I just want to make sure it's picked up for.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, my name is Marion Stoddard, and I live at 204 Otter Ridge Drive.
Thank you.
And I moved to Ayer about 3-4 years ago from Groton. I lived in Groton when Mr. Moulton and the late Mr. Lacombe very generously donated 405 of the 700 acres that they had purchased to the Massachusetts Audubon Society, which is now the 422-acre Rocky Hill Wildlife Sanctuary. And so I'm very appreciative of the gifts of lands that were made and that we're all able to enjoy. And I hope that Mr. Moulton, who I believe fully recognizes the environmental, historical, and cultural significance of the land that he owns in Ayer, will once again choose not to develop any part. Well, I hope that he will choose not to develop any part of the proposed Stratton Hill development, but instead will choose to either sell or gift it to the town of Ayer or to the Massachusetts Fish and Wildlife Agency, or a combination of the two. And I was interested to hear Carolyn McCreary speak at the beginning of this evening, and I have prepared essentially the same message that she has, which is I've just reviewed the town's of Ayer's 2017 master plan, and where it's noted under future land use issues that there are just these 9.6 square miles and with less than 200 developable acres remaining, and that and that, you know, that we have a very limited amount of lands that's still available for future development. And the Ayer's 27 master plan does state that new projects must be compact and are best suited to occur on underutilized rather than undeveloped land. And I also, in the plan, it does say that the town staff, planning board, and zoning board of appeals must review projects to ensure they are in conformance with the master plan goals to minimize fiscal impacts to the town for the cost of delivery services and protect critical natural and cultural resources. And this property that is this proposed development is in the Petapawag area of critical environmental concern. And there are many different endangered species of of animals and plants that live there. And I think we have responsibility to protect. And so I do think that I do believe that there is land available for purchase in Ayer to develop that would meet and help implement the town's master plan criteria. And I hope that the planning board will encourage and support Mr. Moulton in those efforts. And again, I want to say how much I appreciate what Mr. Moulton has done in the past and continues to want to do. And I think he's created a wonderful legacy, and that this would just would certainly enlarge his legacy, and we certainly receive all of the gratitude of the many people who live here now and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stoddard. I would like to go to the Zoom people, but I don't know how.
I don't know if we try just because
Yes.
they're underserved population on the computer. What do we do?
Cindy just said, ask them to unmute.
Yeah, I knew, yeah.
All at once.
If you're in Zoom land, please unmute.
And want to speak. Going once?
There you go, got one.
Oh.
Sharon.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Shannon Walsh. I'm at 21 Wright Road. We're new to Wright Road. We've been here for just a year, but many of my neighbors that have commented today, we definitely echo their feelings that Wright Road is an incredibly narrow road. It's a dead-end road. There's one way in, there's one way out, and while I wouldn't say there's necessarily like traffic like we saw on 27 in Acton today from an accident, there's definitely the regular daily comings and goings of the trash trucks, UPS, FedEx, people coming and going to work, people walking their dogs, riding their bikes, and since there is only one way in and one way out, and the road is very narrow, having all of those additional vehicles and UPS and FedEx and the post office and the garbage truck and everything else that comes along with just daily life on a dead-end road, very narrow dead-end road, is just really unsafe. And it's really just not fair to the rest of the neighbors to shove like 100 additional cars onto this quiet dead-end road. So I'd be very curious to know when the traffic evaluation is going to happen and what the result of that will be, and hopefully that'll be made more public than some of the plans thus far that have been kind of hard to track down for people who have been interested in it, unless of course we go to town hall and ask for the plans. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there more people from Zoom? Excuse me, I'm trying to just. Are there more people from Zoom land? I'm talking to a TV set.
Don't we all
You
do
can't even
that?
find a TV set in my house. It's on most of the time. I'm talking to a TV set. Yes, please. I'm sorry. Here in the room.
My name is Julie Elmore. I live at 6 Wright Road. I'm a high school teacher, so I've been talking to TV sets for a year and a half, so I understand.
I actually, by the way, I like the Zoom meeting thing. More people participate.
Yeah.
Seriously, but go ahead.
I know this has been stated, but I don't think it can be overstated, the impact of traffic. If we've got about 65 houses, and I'm trusting that number, we would essentially be having a 50% increase in traffic on this street. And as mentioned, we are tight now. We get a lot of snow, our road turns into a one lane road. We can't go past each other. Never mind a person, God forbid, be on the street at that time. And being the first house on the street, every single car that needs to go down Wright Road, any of the side streets, this new development, goes past our road, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And the last thing, to be honest, I want to see is me having to give up land for a sidewalk.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody is looking to shrink their property. I'd rather see this not go forward.
Thank you.
My name is Colleen White. I live across from Chris Braille on 29 Wright Road. I just wanted to reiterate about the narrow road. The road is also not flat. Where I live, there's a small hill coming right up. I cannot see cars coming up until they're right at the top. It also curves on the other side of me. So I will back out, I'll look both ways. I have to go slow because it's a small road. And the next thing, there's cars. I'm very concerned about having to deal with more cars. And even though the speed limit is 25, that's not what people are doing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Another hand shot up in the back.
I just have one further question on the traffic study, just so it encompasses Snake Hill also, because Snake Hill is the feeder road, and there's people that go to the gun club also. There's a lot of traffic coming in there, so just to encompass that also.
Now, they do it all the way down the Sandy Pond Road.
Great.
They have to do it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I envision this, and we have not gone through the RFP process yet. I know Mark started working on it. But I live on Oak Ridge Drive. We're a feeder road.
Yep.
Oak Ridge, Calvin, Snake Hill, Wright Road, and then the impact upon
the bridge.
HELS. Yeah. What are the words again? The roads?
Edgeway,
Sedgway, White. It's all the way back to Mountain View where Jess lives. So I spent a lot of time in your neighborhood.
Thank you.
And so we first came to town, we lived on the pond for 6 months or so. And do understand. You're sweet, miss?
Andy from Wachusett Ave. I'm not going to say anything more about traffic. I think you guys totally covered that. I wanted to bring up runoff issues, which I think Julie touched upon earlier. Since I live at the bottom of Wachusett Ave on the pond, I'm down the hill from the proposed development, and when the road was put in, there was a retention pond put in down at the base of the dirt road, right at the junction of Wright Road. And I know it's rained a lot this summer, but that retention pond has been full of stagnant water since the spring. And, I think it's a public health issue. I think it's a breeding ground for mosquitoes. West Nile disease, just having all that brown standing water around is just not good for any of us. And I don't think it's doing its job. I think runoff is pouring down Standish and Wachusett. I took a couple of pictures out my bedroom window. I could see the standing pond at the end of Standish Ave that has been there all summer, is there right now. And it is 50 feet from Sandy Pond where that puddle exists. And it's just standing water there all the time. Wachusett Avenue looks like the Ho Chi Minh Trail because of all the water that pours down it every time it rains. And that proposed development is going on the top of the hills with a lot of ledge, surrounded by bodies of water, ponds, streams, wetlands, all the way around. And I brought this up at a Concom meeting last week, and I was told that this is the more appropriate venue, so I'm bringing it up again. I saw 4 proposed retention ponds as part of the new plan. I don't think that the one that's there now does not function effectively, and I think that the whole runoff issue needs to be looked at in depth for a solution that would be effective and keep runoff out of Long Pond, Sandy Pond, the Beaver Pond up to the north, and the wetlands. I mean, there's just there's water all around the bottom of that hill. So I just wanted to bring that up as a major issue. Sorry. I'm sorry, Rita?
I
I want to ask, Mr. Chair, when we do our site walk, could we include going down Standish Road and looking at that as part of it? I don't know if we've traditionally left the site as we do the walk, but.
I'm not opposed to that in any way, shape, or form, and I don't know if there's any precedent for it, but I'm happy to, always happy to try and set precedent.
If that's something we could do as a board, that would, I think, be helpful to
yeah.
the.
So I appreciate the comment that the planning board is a place to talk about detention and retention ponds and hydrological work that's going to be done on a project. That's one piece that we got to cover, and that Brookline needs to work with the DPW on. In a situation where you are concerned from a public health standpoint about mosquitoes and stuff, Central Mass Mosquito Control.
Yes, Central Mass Mosquito Control Project.
Central Mass Mosquito Control is a website. Go to it, click on it, report it. They'll take care of it.
Yep. It's part of the Massachusetts Department of Agriculture.
Massachusetts takes care of mosquito control in regions. It's not done by towns anymore. Those motorcycles with the foggers are gone because it wasn't working to have every town doing that. It was dangerous. So they now take care of it from the sky, believe it or not. And they have a regular schedule of when they take care of stuff like that. But if you are experiencing situations with the stagnant water, by all means, Central Massachusetts Mosquito Control, and they will respond.
Will they come and, this
Yes.
is Bolton's property, this is not.
Yes, you can report it.
A mosquito control it's been taken away from individuals and given to the community for a really good reason, because of West Nile virus and other things. So that's just a little sidelight, guys. But I saw a lot of heads going up and down. And that's how we manage mosquitoes these days. Other comments from the, yes?
Just one more quick question. Does the town, when you have a proposal like this, or any proposal, does the town spend any money when something like this happens? Like you talk about a traffic study and all the other studies, who pays for everything?
Actually, the applicant.
Or everything?
Yeah.
Okay, so the town doesn't.
We make them pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when they do the work, we make them give us money in case they fail, so we can repair what they do. We don't release lots until they perform. There's a whole series of laws in Massachusetts that we're required to take covenants and bonds for. So that's way down the road when they decide. For instance, there's $1 million of road work out there. They won't put the top coat on the road. They'll do the binder, do all the construction. We'll hold money for the top coat in case for some reason Mr. Moulton doesn't finish the project. And that'll be cash we have to fix the road. I had a question in front, yes?
So one of the goals of the town is to reduce the fiscal impact. You know, so this is similar to your question. But in fact, you know, we spend more in taxes than, we spend more than we take in taxes for single-family houses in general. And in particular, in the development where we have a new road, you know, that will have to be maintained by the town eventually. The question is, what is the fiscal impact to the town of a development such as this? Whereas if the development is already in an area where there's water, sewer, and roadways, there is less impact, and with density, we will actually accrue more in taxes than the cost of the property. So can we do some sort of fiscal impact of this development?
Thank you. Other questions? Hearing none. Anything from the board? That's good.
Can I thank my neighbors for all coming out and being concerned citizens?
Yes, please.
And voicing, thank you all for coming on behalf of my neighborhood, to be quite frank.
And stick around for a minute. We're going to wrap up this part of the meeting, and you all know when we're going to do the next piece, so you can come back.
But if you continue to have questions, you can bring them to me as well, and we'll keep talking about them, and I hope we continue to have this kind of presence in order to support the work we're doing as a planning board.
No, it is, I have to say, having done what I do for 40 years, it's really nice to see a full room again. Last year, doing all of these things with Zoom, it's just not the same. So thank you all for coming out. And please do follow the project. I know Dave wants, as I say, wants everybody to be happy at the end of it all. And I'm sure you all will be.
Okay, so we're going to do some housekeeping. Again, there's no other questions from the board at this point in time. You're pretty clear on what you need to do. I think Mr. Krantz, we might be in a position we want to continue. And I think the request from from the proponent is for September 14th, am I correct?
Yeah, that would be just perfect. That's
I
our
believe
first
our next
meeting.
meeting is September 14th, so we'll have that date.
It sure
in.
is.
Excuse me, our first meeting in September, we believe, is the 14th.
It sure is.
14th would be just perfect.
And
Yeah,
if I
it
may, based on what I heard from some of your previous hearings, you would want revised documents by the 9th then?
Please.
It would be the Thursday before.
As soon as you can get it to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult for us to do our work. I mean, we are a volunteer force, believe it or not. And some of us actually take days off on the weekend.
And if you could get them to me electronically, I can post them to the
Yeah.
website like we've done all the other ones.
We can do both. We'll bring paper,
Yeah.
mark, and
Yeah.
PDF is great because we're, on this project, we are in the infant stages of making things available to the folks so they can get it as quickly as possible. As I said earlier, we don't have a clear process in town.
Yeah,
We bootstrapped this one in order to get people involved.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Diskin.
I'd like to offer my services to meet with the DPW and the plan of when they meet with the applicant and as representative of the planning board. In the event that there's a meeting that's held on
Tuesday morning at 9.
I want to represent, I think the planning board should have a representative.
Tuesday morning at 9. Next Tuesday.
Okay, so if you didn't hear that, Mr. Diskin, Vice Chair of the Planning Board, is offering to meet with the DPW and the proponent and the town planner during the meetings. And I'm glad that you're open to that. That's very nice.
fine.
Mr. Diskin's been very involved in both the stormwater, the wastewater, and the subdivision rewrite of our regs. So, and OSRD, so that makes it going to be very helpful. So Mr. Krantz said we need 3 motions.
Yes. I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for the definitive subdivision, Wright Road, Stratton Hill, to September 14th, 2021.
Seconded.
Any discussion? It's been seconded? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for the stormwater management permit, Wright Road, Stratton Hill, to September 14th, 2021.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
I move that we continue the site plan review, air zoning bylaw, section 9.6, land clearing and grading for Wright Road, Stratton Hill, to September 14th, 2021.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to reiterate Julie's comments. Thank you very, very much for coming out. Really do appreciate the input. We really do. To be in the process. Thank you. I'm going to ask us to adjourn for just a moment.
Pause.
I'm sorry, pause for just a
I'll
moment.
adjourn.
So y'all can make noise and leave, and some of us can come back to the room in a minute. So, next on our agenda is a continued public hearing for stormwater regulations. To be honest with you guys, it wasn't fair to make Jan sit here all night long to take that on. So we moved into the next meeting.
You don't need a motion or anything.
And it's my understanding.
Yes.
You do need a motion.
Yes.
If it was continued this
Can I
meeting,
do
we
it
get
real
a vote.
fast?
Yeah. And let me tell you, I believe it works back from the attorney, so we can actually get something done.
Yeah, and this won't be on.
I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for stormwater regulations to our next meeting.
It's not locked.
I know, but it has
to be open.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Can I just keep my neighbors out?
Yes, please.
Yeah, and just, I need to keep
We're
it
crossing
open because
again for a moment.
it's the law.
It's the
I'm
law.
sorry.
Yeah.
My
As long as that one's open.
I know, but if they see that one closed on TV, I don't need to get in trouble. Do you know what I mean?
You can join us for another hour.
I'm a stickler for the rules, every little bit, like. I'm just trying to save the town money.
How did it?
I love this word, this
Thank you.
nonverbal.
And I'm going fast enough for the
Which brings us to the town planner update and announcements.
Just trying to keep everything going. Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to mention is now that, especially knowing that this is going to take a little while to come back, Alan and I are working on the build-out study for the form-based road districts. We have to fill in the table. So that's a project that will get going. That's something that we received a DLTA grant from the Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission to do. So it's just a matter of getting to it. And we have a GIS person over there, Stanton. Bill Stanton, who's going to be helping us.
I'm using the GIS guy from MAPC, not MRPC.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So that's an ongoing project that, has been sort of on hold for a while. But so I'll have an update on that for the next meeting. Otherwise, that's about it.
Okay, under administrative announcements, under old and new business, old business first, does anybody have anything? As I look directly at Mr. Disney.
Not at the moment.
Thank you.
We do have something to do with.
Okay.
I do too.
Okay. I have nothing for old business at this point that I jotted down this month.
Ken first.
Mr. Disney, under new business.
Has the planning board voted to accept the plans for Stratfield development?
Nope.
Nope. Good catch.
You didn't do that as part of an opening motion? No?
No.
No.
Oh, we
We
had,
finished
well,
the
then
hearing
we should
without
do,
it.
well, it's not too late.
Well, it is, because you already continued the hearing, so we're not in that part of it.
It's a point of order is what I'm asking for.
Yes.
So, yeah,
I
everyone's left,
would
I wouldn't
recommend,
dare.
without getting any legal, I guess the question is, does it hurt us now to do?
My recommendation is we do it as the first order of business as soon as we step to the next hearing.
I agree with that.
Yep.
Thank you for catching that, Mr. Disney.
Yeah, with the suggestion that you do both dates, because I'm sure it's going to be revised at that point too.
Yes. Let's, in order not to miss that, how do we make sure it doesn't get missed?
I will add that
Thank you very much.
on the agenda.
Thank you very much. And the
As a
salt
separate
I
item.
I will remember that, definitely. And Mr.
What I'll
Disney will
do
thank
is
you
we
very much.
I have
do
a
vote.
There may be a compromise here because in all probability, the plans we get next will have a revision date on it.
Yeah.
So we'll potentially be able to accept the completed package with the revision date at the start of the next meeting as being accepted set.
So I'm going to make a recommendation that we, I don't know if Ms. Quazel is the right person to speak to about this, but we need to ask a question about this. Okay? It's a procedural question, but we need to take care of it. Thank you very much for the catch, Mr. Disney, and I'm sorry that I didn't get it. We didn't get it earlier. Okay, Mr. Krantz?
Can I ask, just
Yes.
so I can learn from this?
We didn't actually accept the plan.
For
So,
consideration.
and we can't do that now because the public hearing isn't going on?
We suspended the hearing until yes.
So we're not allowed to do anything within what's the public hearing, so that's why we can't just, we're all here together.
In many ways, we're discussing something outside
Okay.
of time at this point.
And with the number of people that were present at
Yeah.
the beginning vote that gets taken
In all
place
the
after the elected
confusion,
might
we
be
missed
upset.
an important procedural step.
But that's why we can't do anything about it now.
Yeah, and we won't be the first or last planning board ever to do that.
Fair.
As I said, we're a volunteer group. Sometimes you get what you pay for. Shouldn't say that out loud. Okay, Mr. Krantz?
So, Ms.
I've offered my seat to many of my neighbors.
We heard from two participants in the meeting today. Ms. Stoddard and I believe Ms. Creary raised the issue of the planning board's responsibility to the master plan, which is very explicit in about where the progress of development should be in Ayer. And I just want to confess something, I feel very conflicted as a board member because I do see their points. And I also do believe that their objectives are the right ones that were voted on for the master plan. But I'm also aware that our authority in many of these areas is limited, that there are strong private property laws that we have to respect. And so what I'm, as a new order of business is, I just want to put to the table is that at some point, I hope sooner rather than later, I'd like to have greater education about what the board actually can, by law, do to fulfill the master plan's guidance and directives for what development is in this town.
I have a comment on it.
By all means, I have a comment also with Mr.
Go ahead.
So the master plan, I'm going to choose my words carefully. I was involved in the master plan, I was involved in the rewrite of the master plan here in town. The master plan is an extremely valuable document that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts requires towns to have in order to participate in certain funding opportunities, grants and funding opportunities. It is also a very sincere document about how the town approaches things moving forward. I am also conflicted about what our role is, and in this case with an OSRD. The master plan, and I would reread it myself, clearly states that we should be looking at redeveloping areas in town as opposed to newly developed areas. This area is part of the identified area to be developed in town. It doesn't lend itself to transportation for many of the reasons we've been discussing this evening. So I don't have an answer for you, but that's how I'm approaching the process at this point.
There's that,
Yep.
but there's also the affordable housing, there's the variety of housing types, there's multiple levels. It's not just about the transportation hub, there's about housing justice and also that there's many different kinds of opportunities for housing, not simply single family homes. And I just feel hamstrung. It's like, we get the plans, here they are, we look at them and we react. And I'm just, again, I don't want to take up too much time, it's already running late, but I just think it's something very important to be thinking about is what authority do we actually have to be proactive toward things that the town has actively identified through town meeting as goals for the town. That's my concern. I'll shut up.
Thank you for saying it.
Don't shut up ever is a very good and valid points.
Yeah.
Okay? Sometimes we don't have opportunities to discuss them. I have an example. It's not an answer. It's not a solve for what you're talking about. We've done form-based code, which is prescriptive zoning. The reason we've chosen form-based code in the areas where we have it applicable is because we've, as a body, made a decision on what we want that to look like. So in some ways, we don't get to complain. If you can do this, tell us what you're doing. It's like a by right use of the land.
Right.
When you get to a new development like this, I agree with you, Mr. Prince. It seems to throw it all us here. No, that's not an answer, but that's.
No, I appreciate that. And again, I didn't expect to get an answer. What I just want to do is invite us to be cognizant of this process and perhaps to acquire some greater education, see what are the possibilities for us in that.
And this is going to sound this is going to sound like I'm congratulating the planning board. We've worked really hard in the last couple of years as a group. Our last project, more than 50% of the space was kept as open space in perpetuity.
Correct.
The project before that, it was downsized, the number of homes, it was brought away from the ACEC.
That's right.
This is what we're doing.
Good.
The one previous to that, we got to pass on. If you take a look at this from a real 64,000 foot view, there's somewhere on the order of 60 units coming into the market in this town. And the town that needs housing.
Absolutely.
That's going to bring probably close to $25 or $30 million in tax base to the town annually. That allows us to improve our roads, improve our systems and stuff like that. So the yin and yang is houses go in where there's no houses before, but the town is improved fiscally and financially. And people, we live in a society where you can own a home, and private ownership is part of it. So I agree with you. It is troubling sometimes. Do you have a response to that, Mr. Diskin?
Yes, and I don't totally agree with Jonathan's view of things, since this is the master plan of 2017, and I actually believe the planning board has attained many of the goals that were listed in that master plan, not least of which zoning changes in March of 18 to include what we're talking about right now, the open space residential development, which didn't exist. 2 changes to the codes to put in form-based code districts in both downtown and on West Main Street. The addition of the inclusive zoning regulations, which require for every multifamily unit that puts over 5 units, that one must be affordable. So I think the representation was a little bit favorable to the person making the presentation, but that in fact, the planning board and the town professional staff, led by the planner and Mr. Monoy, have led us in the direction of the goals of the master plan. And the other side of the coin is, we all know right now that there's been an influx of folks wanting to be in the town of Ayer because of what we've accomplished and the upgrades that are being made around the town. But we don't have control over that. You know, we are going to be seeing developments in almost every single angle of the town, from densely populated areas to not so densely populated areas. So I do feel that calling up the planning board and what we need to do, we have been very aware of what our goals are and have sought to stay in compliance with the requirements of the master plan.
Do you have a comment? Yes.
Well, so I think I heard what Jonathan was saying. I actually have shared a lot. I've learned a lot from you all because I've shared exactly what you have just said to neighbors as I've heard the master plan. And I actually said Jonathan himself would be thrilled to hear the master plan being worked into these conversations, and we work, all of us working. I guess I would just add, I heard Jonathan say this a little differently, is that is what we've done, and we're all overachievers on this board and in this room, Ruth included. And I guess I'm wondering, where does it continue? And is there a future of that? And as again, my neighbors are talking about protecting species in land that's, we can't get back. But that's not what we're talking about right now. But I think I heard your question a little different, Jonathan, is that's where we were, and that's really awesome. Is there a next, or is that a check and done?
You know, I never meant to imply or suggest that we're not doing anything. That's false. It's obviously patently false. And of course, Ken, I'm deeply proud of what we've all accomplished together. But I guess I'm looking at more. You know, there's still the needs are still to be met, and I just want to know what leeway we have to accomplish further, whatever that next more is, whatever that can be.
I think keeping that in mind is a really keeping it in the front of your mind when we're talking about stuff is important. It's not before us right now because we are not the granting authority, but the local initiative housing project for Fitchburg Road.
Yep.
That represents a big check in the master plan. It really does.
Absolutely.
The Washington Street Fire Station, a portion of that was, okay? So as projects come to us where it's applicable, we do it. Transit-oriented, in the instance of transit-oriented, that is the form-based code downtown.
Absolutely.
Okay. The traffic on Wright Road would only be increased if we put a bus out there. To what benefit? I'm just thinking about that. So without going deeply into the philosophical discussion, I think it's a really good point. I know tomorrow evening, Mr. Diskin and I will be at the affordable housing meeting where the Affordable Housing Trust will be set up, and there's a lot of people whose lives have been turned upside down here in town, and we'll be working on that tomorrow. And that's also being worked on with an eye towards what the master plan requires and suggests. That's another thorny issue. So I appreciate the question, the opportunity to talk about it. And we have a coffee, talk about it when you want.
One more question on a similar, and I can't believe I'm going to be the one saying this, but you know that training program we try to go to each year, and COVID kind of, that'll be coming up again in the fall, right?
That's all the time. That's all the time.
Yes.
There's more than one MRPC. It's got a whole group of
Citizen planning.
Citizen planning
there's
commission.
a whole group of organizations that do the training.
Yes.
Not just the citizen.
Well, as I need to plan ahead for lots of various reasons, that would be a great thing to continue with this conversation. And I know we always do talk about it, but the further notice I can get, the better, because I think that we can learn. I can learn a lot from those classes.
You know, I get the emails from MRPC about that. There is an email list.
Yeah.
Did I get a?
Could you please, if you get them automatically,
Yeah, there was one.
I get
there was
MAPCs
one
on
a while
MRPC.
back.
I think I get
Yeah,
them
there's
too, but just so that
a
I.
condition had an email, this went out, I think yesterday or today, because I get it in my work email, my home email, and it was
Yeah.
just a, land, setting up a land trust or something, yeah, it wasn't
I got that
anything
one.
important.
One of the challenges
But that
is-
one, you could, I think, email them and suggest a training, and they might do it if they get enough inquiries on it. So you might try that, because I know MACC on the conservation side will take suggestions, so the
Okay.
Citizens Planning Commission might do the same.
Alright.
And they may, I tried to do that once and, you know.
You never know.
We're also,
Doesn't hurt.
Julie,
Yep,
as a board, we've been asked in the past, if we want to bring training in-house.
yep.
Willing to do that also.
Good.
Yeah.
If we can find an
Well,
hour,
not
I'm
this,
willing to do
this
it.
kind of
So-
time, we don't usually take at the end of these
Well-
meetings. We haven't been able to lately, that's not.
Okay,
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
you
you.
can fix things too soon, the next meeting, too much.
so if that's it for new business.
I wanted to
Go
bring
ahead.
up something too that we didn't, another thing we didn't finish with Stratton Hill. I have the RFP refined and pretty much ready to go to consultants just to get their proposals back. I could run it by you guys, you know, I think it's an internal thing, I don't, you know, it's not a.
The traffic study referred to?
The traffic study.
Yeah.
You know, it might save time, we don't have to act on it until September, but that would give a few firms time to get a proposal to it so that we can hit the ground running in September. What do you think?
I'm
I
going.
think you need it. I think it's a good idea, but I think the applicant offered tonight, but we didn't take the
No.
issue up and vote on it at the
Right,
meeting.
yes.
I think I just said, I think during the discussion, when we did the one on across from the high school, Panther Place, we got a very limited scope from that traffic engineer, but it was mostly concerned with the safety of getting in and off the road.
Right.
Right. This would be a much
The
more.
dreaded factor here are many, many things beyond our control.
Yes, right.
So I think the applicant should work with you on the RFP, that's all. And so we all agree that.
Okay. I like us having the control. It sounded to me like they wanted to hire
So-
a firm, so to speak. but-
Yeah, and I don't know if we're out of school talking about this now. I would like to know honestly, I'd like to know what they would recommend, what they would be willing to do.
Zero.
And compare it to us, compared to what we want. Because I
Yeah,
want to
that's-
make, if we go forward with the I'm choosing my words very carefully. If a traffic study goes forward, it needs to encompass what the board sees as the important aspects to it. Okay?
Right, and what everybody was
Yeah.
saying, basically, the stuff that I had heard, you know,
Yeah.
already
Go
worked
ahead.
into this, but,
Nothing.
yeah.
So,
I agree totally with what you said. The traffic study has to include what the board sees.
yes.
Oh, yes.
And
Right,
I'm,
yes.
I'm,
And that's why I'd like to share the draft scope of the study with,
by all means, share that with us, but I would
Okay.
be
I'll send
curious
it
to
out.
find out if the applicant has done any work along those lines also.
right,
So we can have a meeting of the minds and come together on it quickly. We have them waiting for a month, some of the folks have asked for us getting on it as quickly. I agree with Mrs. Diskin that it gets normalized over the whole year,
right.
but it's gonna be a challenge. Our
Just-
next meeting's after Labor Day.
As an open meeting person, I'm just gonna say that if we do that, you reply to Mark individually, not as a whole. You do not
Yes.
send
Yeah,
it to everybody, do not
Yes,
copy
yes,
anybody,
that's
it's
right.
from you, it's directly to Mark, nobody
And
else.
it says in it, for information only, not for
Yeah.
discussion.
Right,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, good.
Just for an open
But
meeting
I-
law.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay,
Motion on the minutes?
please, thank you very much, Mr.
I
I'm
move-
sorry.
Did you have one more thing, Mr. Dixon? No?
I move we approve the meeting minutes of July 13th, 2021.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for taking care of that today, Jonathan. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, thank you. It
It's
took
well
me a while to
done.
write that.
With
They
that,
were very
I will
good,
take
thank
a
you.
motion to adjourn.
So moved. Seconded.
Thank you all.